Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero along with the other host
Tristan Walter.
And today we brought back Star Wars Wednesday. I'm so, what's that? Oh, that's a copyright claim. Well, shit. I just fucking hummed it.
Well,
Jesus, YouTube. Jesus.
Quick.
We also have this.
Jump to hyperspace. Jump to hyperspace.
Right.
They
It's
can't
the
track us in
YouTube
hyperspace.
monetization run. It's the YouTube monetization run.
God. Jesus Christ.
We got this video remonetized in under 14 parsecs. It was actually 12. Okay, Ray.
Oh my God.
Jesus. But
Yeah,
but
12.
yes.
And don't let anyone else tell you any different. Sure, we may have rounded down, but that's between us. It's fine.
Yeah, right. But I love it. Wait a minute. I said it was 12. Chewbacca said it wasn't. He looks at Chewbacca. Have you been telling people? Lando's in the corner. Oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah,
You're
right,
the one.
basically.
Yeah. But anyway, so.
Had to get you back
Okay.
somehow.
Yeah. We're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story, which I love how they're calling them a Star Wars story because every time they do, it sounds like a Christmas thing.
Oh my God.
Like it sounds like they're trying to give bats to the new characters or other like characters that they introduce in these prequel movies, and they're like, beat down the holiday special, fucking murder it.
God. It's
Every
Christmas
time
on
it's like
Kessel.
Well, that would be the saddest Christmas. Orphans get other orphans. That's just how sad it is. Like,
oh jeez, yeah.
it's just so sad. Okay, so, that's not Kessel, that's Corellia, but still, okay. So I clearly know my Star Wars shit. Everyone's gonna love us after we say what we have to say about this movie. They're gonna point at that one moment and be like, he's not even a real fan. He's not even a real fan. Would have read and slept with Legends.
I mean,
Which you actually have.
You're not wrong. Well, no,
You've
I
fallen
have
asleep
not.
next to your book.
I'm just a dirty poser.
Right, of course. No, but you've actually fallen asleep next to your books, though, haven't you? You've had them by your bed, like on your nightstand,
yes.
stuff like that.
This is fair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I've come over your house. You've been like, Matt, you let me take your bed when I come over your house. You come over to my house, you can take my bed. And I'll be like, is this a Star Wars novel? And well, obviously I know that they exist because you've quoted them so many times. But I'm like, is this like right by your bed? You're like, yes. I'm like, why are the candles lit? That's not good around books. You're like, shut up.
Okay, that was one time. Jeez.
But speaking of this movie, though, let's talk about this movie, not just Legends, because of the fact that, well, you haven't read the Han Solo Legends stuff, or you haven't read a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's various different books and comics dealing with Han Solo's legends, like Han Solo's backstory, as far as I understand. But
okay, have you read any of them?
Not anything pertaining to this movie.
All right, so then I'm sorry to tell you this, Tristan, but you're not a real Star Wars fan.
I know.
I'm sorry. We got to sit you down and tell you. You've watched the movies ever since you were a kid. You have multiple versions of the movies. Oh, wait. Actually, I have a question for you. Did you like this movie?
I very much did. I was surprised because at first
that's strike number 2. I don't think you're a Star Wars fan, Tristan. That's strike number 2.
All right. You know what? You can kiss my afterburner.
Yeah, right. Just freedom. That's what Tristan is saying. Freedom. Just setting a revolution. Just freeing all the Star Wars fans that are actually fans of these movies that are being trapped. Droid rights. Droid rights. How does that even work? Oh, it works. That was my favorite part of I was like, oh, damn. Anyway.
Look, for me, it's just, I'm happy that Star Wars has kept going. Like, I'm happy to be able to say, I am a fan of this. We are getting new movies in 2018 and for the foreseeable future. It is a good time.
And But and here's the thing too, right? Let's be real though. That's not the only reason. Like if these movies were complete and utter crap, i.e., shitting on the characters that you loved.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they
that
haven't
would be
been.
something else.
They haven't.
But they are not.
Yeah. Right. Although I will admit, though, there are some things in this movie that, like, I don't think I'm going to give this movie a perfect score. I don't think you would either.
Well, here we go.
And I do. Yeah, right. Well, the first problem is, I mean, we have to be honest here, Tristan.
Here's Matt, the wet blanket.
Look, all right, I got to be honest here, Tristan.
Know.
I think the first issue is women exist, and really, I think that's the biggest issue with these films, is that women exist. You know, I mean. Like, at what point in your life, Tristan, has a woman actually existed, right? You know? I don't know. Whoa, I get it here. You're going to call me a woman hater because I hate women. Fuck you. Tristan.
What?
Jesus.
What?
Tristan is so confused right now. He's just like, he's like right after the, that was it, when the bomb hit, and I think it was Han who was just like, you heard the...
Oh God! I know there's a point of criticism in here, but there's also a joke in here, and I want to have the right answer to both because I know if I get this wrong, I'm going to get some emails.
No matter what you say, you're going to get emails. That's why I don't give a shit that I'm making these jokes. But no, because the thing is, we can say that this was the worst movie ever. And we would get, like, Star Wars-wise or in general, and we would get emails. And we can say this is the best movie ever, and we can get emails. So let's just open up and be true about how we feel about it, because that's what we're here for, and that's what the people want. And frankly, this was in no way ruined by the characters like the droid. This was in no way ruined by Lando being quote-unquote pansexual. The problem, however, which I'll get to a little bit later, is that the character wasn't pansexual in the film itself, and that is a big issue. I will admit it would have been nice to have seen in the past characters fighting for droid rights as well. But frankly, I have to admit, though, Tristan, when you're a kid, and even now, watching episodes 4, 5, and 6, I thought we cared about the droids. Didn't we fucking care about...
I mean, we do.
Yeah, that's what's so funny, though.
Characters,
we sit here, though, right, Tristan?
At least most of the heroes that we see, they do care about the droids.
But isn't that so funny? Like, you and I care about the droids. We're like, we love C-3PO. We love R2-D2. And then one character is like, yeah, we should all care about the droids. Shut up.
Well, okay.
Ugh.
We love R2-D2. Let's not.
We don't like C-3PO? All right, that's fair. I mean, he can be, if you want to call me a wet blanket. Again. Right. Okay, to be fair, yes, he is a wet blanket as well. But yeah, so, hey, speaking of, maybe you wouldn't have liked C-3PO in this movie either, because you know who fucking wrote this movie, right? The writer for Empire Strikes Back, as well as his son.
Right, yes.
Which is why it's so funny when people are like, this movie will also be ruining the franchise. And I was like, same, so will Empire Strikes Back. Terrible. Tripe. Ruined the franchise, really.
Oh, my God.
Like, come on. It's just so silly. That's the thing. Like, that's why I'm making this not... What?
I know you're like, lathering on the sarcasm right now, but it still burns. It still burns slightly.
well, because my thing is this, right?
Burn slightly.
I know, right? My whole thing is this, right? We're going to talk, of course we're going to review the movie itself, but I feel like with the fact that, you know, the internet exists, we can't sit back. We can also talk about the fact that the movie did not do well in the box office and be completely honest about that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to deny that, right? But it's just we can't sit back and only just talk about this movie when really I think this review, if we actually get popular, if people give a shit about what we have to say one day, more so than those that already do, thank you fans that currently listen in, but anyone else, more people caring about what we have to say, this will be kind of like a weird time capsule. So we can talk about the movie, and we will keep on doing that throughout this, however long this review lasts. but we can't sit back and not talk about the fan reaction and make jokes about it, because it's like, and by the way, if anyone says this was the best Star Wars movie ever, even compared to the mainline ones, not just new, just in general, I'll be like, I don't know, right? Like, I'm not, we shouldn't go that far. Like, this is the best Star Wars movie that's ever been made.
What?
But, yeah. But at the same time, just looking at the fan reaction from people talking about Lando being pansexual, and funnily enough, we've talked about I've talked to some friends of ours who are Pan and Ace, who've watched the movie, and it's hilarious how they actually said, without knowing about the commentary, that Lando could potentially be Pan. They were like, wait, he was Pan?
Right, yeah.
But it's so funny, though, because people are saying, like, the movie was ruined because Lando's Pan. I have an odd feeling you haven't watched the film. Heck, looking at the box office numbers, they probably did not.
Did not watch the film, yeah.
No. And also want to mention, too, that this movie is actually – so here's a funny thing, too, right? So just giving some background for the movie. So if you guys don't know – if you guys haven't heard the news, it seems like a fair amount of people have not seen this film. Now, what do you think, Tristan? And I'm being dead honest, like, no jokes, just being serious. Why do you think people haven't seen the film? Because I have some theories. Why do you, like, and one of them could be that people just who wanted to boycott the movies after Episode 7 boycotted this too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're right or wrong, because, again, they could be doing it for the right reasons. If they truly just think, hey, like, I'm not saying they're wrong for boycotting. Right, but that could be one of the reasons.
I might.
Hey,
gonna be real.
Well, wait. No, Tristan. If they say I didn't like Episode 8, I felt like it dropped the ball. Nothing about women. Nothing about droid rights. Nothing about, why can't someone not want to spend their money on a movie, or wait till it goes on HBO or something like that on their, cable distribution or satellite or whatever they have.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, like, because think about it, too. I also want to mention to you guys, this movie, it does kind of, like, my feelings on the movie do reflect how much I paid for it. Where if I had paid, like, $20 or more, because if I went to see this in the city, because we both live in New York, Tristan and I, if I went to see this in the city and paid, like, $20 plus, my feelings on the movie may have been a little bit different. Versus a little bit less on the scale. I have to be real here, because it does matter how much you pay to go see something. Versus seeing it, you and I, in Long Island, where I lived for a few years. That's how we met. Seeing the movie for $6
for a matinee.
Like, that was it wasn't even just the matinee price. I thought you said that was the all-day price.
Well, no, that was the matinee price.
Oh, okay. What's the non-matinee price? Just curious. I didn't think it was $6.
Non-matinee probably would have been 10 or 12, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 8.
So, but even
somewhere in there.
Yeah, 8 sounds about right. Well, because you go to different theaters depending on which one is showing what. So, So that one, that one being $6 was amazing. Because it's kind of like, that's a good price. Got to be real with you. So, for me, to pay that much for the film, I was like, it kind of changed a little bit, where if I had paid, and that's the thing too, I'm saying, like, some people have to pay a lot of money to go see these movies. And frankly, looking at the fact that, another thing too I want to mention too is that one theory that I have that I think that might have been an issue is, if I'm remembering correctly, most of these films, for these last few Star Wars films, have come out around November-ish. Right? Like with 7 and with Rogue One.
Mostly, well, I mean, I think it's mostly been December.
Okay. That's what. So my point, though, is that with the December release for most of these, they've had a strict schedule. So people have been programmed, okay, I'm going to go to the movies this time to see Star Wars. And some people see a lot of movies per year. Heck, even if they don't, they end up getting bogged down by, and I say bogged down even though it sounds like a negative connotation, it's kind of a good thing. They get a lot of Marvel movies thrown at them as well. So they're seeing Marvel movies. They're seeing, like, you're not going to have, I think, a lot of people going, I only see Star Wars movies in theaters and nothing else. You know, like, no one goes to see, like, a Marvel movie. Like, nobody goes to see other, you know, maybe horror films, maybe other nerd films. I mean, DC films exist as well. So there's a lot of movies in the theaters, especially Marvel movies that don't fall into the MCU, like Deadpool movies and things like that. So, to me, anyway, it's kind of odd to kind of shift the schedule for this movie and to not have it come out in November, December, to actually have it come out now, and it's going up against Infinity War and Deadpool 2.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah, I mean, do you have any other theories, or because I mean, yes, like, I'm going to look up the numbers right now as you're talking. That's what I was supposed to be doing, but then I went on a rant.
It's been, oh God, like, I don't know whether it's just the times now that everyone has to be so polarized about an issue, and it even boils down not even an issue that matters. Like, I'll say that. Like, this is a movie. This is a movie we're talking about. Like,
Wait a minute.
It's supposed to be.
This is from someone.
Enjoyment.
Oh shit, this is for someone, but everyone has to realize, though, this is Tristan Walter. The amount of Star Wars posters that are in your room, they kind of outnumber the amount of inches of wallpaper that are up, or paint that is up in your room. So even for you, for someone...
That's debatable.
That is... I don't know. But what I'm saying is, for you to say, hey, man, it's just a movie, is actually interesting because of the fact that, like, talking here.
On one hand, yes. All right, fair. On one hand, yes, this is a series that is very near and dear to me and close to my heart, and I understand why people can get very heated and upset if things don't exactly pan out the way they think, or they think, you know, like the new writing under Disney's management isn't to their taste. Like, okay, I get that. But when we get to the point where, you know, actors and actresses have deleted their social media accounts over harassment because of fans' negative reactions to their portrayals in these movies, I gotta draw a line, and that's not okay.
Right,
I understand
and
you
that's
love
where
the series, and that's a different movie, yes. But at the same time, people are going after writers, and a lot of people have been giving Kathleen Kennedy a lot of shit too. And it's like, guys, like, chill the fuck out, please.
Well, you have to remember, she hates all Star Wars fans, because if she called out male Star Wars fans, which she actually didn't, but if she calls out male Star Wars fans, then that means that she called out all Star Wars fans, because there is not one female Star Wars fan on the planet. Yeah. Maybe on Alderaan, but that whole thing got blown up, so it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know, man.
And
no, but
even past that, a lot of, like, I've heard, like, even my dad was just saying to me, like, he's, oh, you saw Solo, what'd you think? And I'm like, oh, it was fun. And he's like, yeah, a lot of people, you know, boycotting and backlash even since, and it's not even because of this movie, it's because still of Last Jedi and Rian Johnson. And it's like,
right.
Really? Like, I'm
How
sorry.
How old is your dad?
Are you fucking kidding me?
How old is your dad?
60s.
Okay. No one's gonna steal his credit card info. I'm just asking. I'm asking because did he like episode 8?
Oh yeah, no, he's loved everything that's come out. He was telling me stories that he has seen, like, online and stuff like that.
So then what you're telling me is your dad's not a real Star Wars fan.
I mean, apparently. I mean, he was there to see, I mean, shit, my dad saw episode 4 in theaters when it first came out. He even stayed, like, he would even stay in the theater with his friends and, like, sink down into their chairs, like, after the movie was over so that, like, they could hide in the theater and just watch it again when the next showing rolled around. Like, But I guess
Well, now your
that
dad's a
doesn't make-
criminal.
Well, okay.
Now your dad's
you know
Han
what?
Solo.
It was. You know what? I'm actually okay with that. Oh God, does that mean I'm going to turn into Kylo Ren?
You're halfway there. Woo, halfway there. What I was gonna say though was, no, when you said like, oh, you know, he likes what recently came out and everything, and in general, how much soy does your dad intake on a daily basis? Do you know?
How much what?
Okay, no, you don't know that meme. I mean, I've memed it because it's so stupid. We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
Anyway, so what I would like to mention though is the budget for the movie was $250 million. The box office was actually at this point $312.2 million. So of course the thought is, oh my God, they made more. Why are people talking about the fact that it didn't? Right? Like, what are people talking about here? Well, there's two things we all have to remember. One, the fact that people were making these stories before these past 2 weekends. Like, they were talking about it really the opening weekend and a few days after. So that's the first thing, is that in the opening weekend, it severely underperformed. Now, the next thing we have to think about as well is that it's not just $250 million and that's it. There is budgeting, and even though some people said it didn't feel like there was that much budget, like to advertising and stuff like that, there's still an advertising budget, and it was advertised. I mean, there were like different cups. I think there were like red Solo cups dedicated to Solo, and like when you went to the movies, because I went to the movies with a friend a few weeks before Solo. Actually, I think even a month or so. And yeah, it was in February when I went. And when I went, there were actually cups that, had like Solo merchandise like on the, outside of it, like, or Solo advertising, like Woody Harrelson or the actor that played Solo or Chewbacca and stuff like that. Also, I would like to admit that personally, when I saw the trailer for Solo, it looked good, but the actor that played Solo was not given like any, actually watching the movie, I'm like, wow, he did pretty well as Solo. Watching the trailers, I'm like, this is going to be a fucking train wreck. He's going to be terrible.
Oh.
The trailer did not do him justice at all compared to the movie. I'm not saying the trailer didn't do the rest of them justice or didn't do the movie justice, but the trailer did not make me think, oh, this guy, I'm going to make sure I get his name right or I pronounce it right because it's kind of hard for me to pronounce, this guy is going to be a great Han Solo. Nope. The trailers did not do that. And I saw two different trailers, and I was like, it's Alden Ehrenreich. Ehrenreich. He did not come off as a good Solo in the trailers. In the movie itself, I'm like, hey, good for you. If I saw him, I'd be like, you did a good Solo. Good job.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I thought a lot, I felt like he felt like Han Solo to me. He got a lot of the mannerisms down. Like, it felt...
Yeah. So that's one thing. Another thing I want to mention, too, is that a lot of places are listing this as one of the, let me make sure I get it, one of the most expensive films ever made. And I want to clarify something, though. Here's the thing, though. I want to clarify something that I find kind of funny. Let's look at the list of most expensive films adjusted for inflation. Okay? I'm sorry, not adjusted for inflation. Let's look at the list quickly, and I won't list every single number, like every single millions, because we'll be here all night. But starting with number 1, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, which came out in 2011, that came out for $378.5 million. Right? Now, going down the list, we have Avengers: Age of Ultron, Avengers: Infinity War, Pirates of the Caribbean: At World's End, Justice League, John Carter, Tangled, what the fuck, Spider-Man 3. And then all tied at number 9, we have, all at $250 million, we have Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Captain America: Civil War, The Fate of the Furious, what the fuck, and Solo. So how funny is it that all these movies are above it, but because it's being listed, I'm not saying it's like a tactic of like, look how badly it did, but it is kind of funny though. You sit there and you're like, oh my God, one of the most expensive? Oh my God, it didn't make its budget back? But let's all remember that if you got $250 million for something you did, you personally would be like, I'm in the money. It's just because this is a Disney movie, specifically Star Wars, that all of us, our pants are on fire. Well, not our pants, we would be lying, but like our hair is on fire, and we're going, my hair is on fire, and screaming.
And just, throwing money at the screen, right? Yeah.
And also, when looking at the movies that are adjusted, like when adjusted for inflation, we still get, at number 1, Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Ties. When adjusted, it's hilarious. It's $412 million. Holy shit. And then going down the list, we end up adding in Titanic. We end up adding in Waterworld, which is funny. We end up adding in Avatar, not Last Airbender, Blue People. We add in 2005's King Kong. We add in the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. And then we had in X-Men: The Last Stand and Spectre, and even Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Wild Wild West. And then finally at 23, that's when we get Solo. So again, it's just the idea that like the most expensive ever. 23 on the list. Like high, of course, but not like the top 5. Like, oh my God, this movie. Because of course, what ended up making more. Putting more money into the budget were the reshoots, which, yes, there were reshoots. Yes, there was, talk of bringing in an acting coach to help the actor for Solo, which, to be fair, that coach did a good job, right? Because the final result, I thought it worked well.
Right.
Right. But anyway, we've been talking about what worked well, all these jokes and all this stuff, but let's actually talk about the meat of the story, the movie itself. So, why do I think this movie did well? I think it told a simple story. I'm not a big fan of the opening everything up for sequels. I don't think they should have signed these actors on for multiple movies. I think it's a little bit of hubris until I feel like they should have. I know it's bad to not keep actors on lock if necessary, especially when you're working with a franchise. But I have to admit, though, I do think it was a little bit hubris to go, we're going to make them – because apparently the woman that played Han Solo's love interest is actually set to appear in 2 more films. I
heard about that as well. That's interesting as well.
Yeah, no, because I'm not saying this movie can't deserve a sequel because – at the same time, again, the movie was – you mentioned something. You said, hey, this is something you're here to be entertained. If you're not entertained, that's okay. If you are entertained, that's okay too. You were entertained. I was entertained. But again, the $6, in my opinion, does go into it. But still, talking about the entertainment factor, right, as someone who doesn't know, you knew about Legends. You never read them, but you knew about the stories because you've read summaries. You've seen what people have said about it. So you knew, okay, going into this, some things might be different, some things might not be different. Let's see what's what.
Right.
And you even sent me a video showing me a YouTuber breaking down the differences between both. And really, I think that while the differences are big, yes, at the same time, you mentioned this to me personally before we did the podcast, actually the day that we saw it together, because that was really nice. You're actually able to see it together for once.
Yeah.
So you said to me, the general outline was the same. And frankly, I agree after hearing the differences. The idea that if someone went to see this and not Legends, yes, they are missing some things here and there, but they got the general gist of what Han Solo's story is, what he's supposed to be about. The difference is, of course, is that, his mentor wasn't on Corellia? Corellia, thank you. Wasn't on Corellia. Yeah. Also, at the same time, his love interest wasn't rich at first, right? Wasn't royalty at first. Frankly, if she was, I'd be making Aladdin jokes. So sorry, everyone. In a way, I'm happy that she. Well, because come on, he's a street rat.
Rebels already beat you to that, so.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, so we'll get to Rebels soon on a future Star Wars Wednesday. But still. He's a street rat. She was as well, which was nice. I think something that happened in the movie, though, and maybe some of you guys agree, some of you guys disagree. If you're watching this to our YouTube, please, talk to me about it. Talk to us about it. Comment below. I feel like it would have been rough if they had more than one actor for Han Solo, but in the film itself. But do you agree with me that maybe they should have, or do you disagree there? Because I have to say the biggest issue that I have with this movie is I never know how old Han Solo is, but they're constantly treating him like he's younger than us. And you and I are 25, and we do not look as old and rugged as fucking the actor that plays Han Solo.
Right. And I mean, I would argue half of that is just growing up on the streets on Corellia and dealing with all he's had to deal with through that. But, yeah, I get where you're coming from saying Han Solo's age is confusing, considering all the other movies that we've seen him through and other characters that he's compared to. Like, in A New Hope, like, compared to Luke, yes, of course he looks older, at least by a few years. But in this, like, I don't feel like having separate actors for him would have made it any better.
Well, when I say that, I mean is a teenager playing him when he's running off and he gets up separated from his love interest in the beginning of the film.
Right.
Because in the beginning of the film, it's the same actor. Even in the later end of the film, it's the same actor throughout the entire film. But when they're, how funny is it, like, when they're surrounded by, like, these little kids, like, you know, like these really little, like, it's like, oh no, this is only the orphans, but like they look like they're like returning cast members from like season 20 of, you know, like it's like Little Orphan Degrassi or Little Orphan Saved by the Bell, and they're returning from like the college years. And then when they leave, it's kind of like, no, I'll come back to find you. And then he signs up with the Empire, which I don't find that to be a problem because he's just trying to find a way out. He doesn't give a shit about what they're doing. He just wants to be a pilot. And he wants to be a pilot, and that's that. He actually doesn't, it's not like he's sitting there like,
Same thing in Legends, too. Like, he signs up with the Imperial Academy to become a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
To get the flight training.
So,
I mean, shit, even in A New Hope, Biggs, Tank, Luke, they were all going to sign up with the Imperial Academy to get fighter pilot training.
Right. So now he apparently did not get that training, or maybe he got. Well, that's the thing too. We didn't have any. I'm okay with not having his age, let's say. But we also don't get any title cards to show any passage of time.
Right.
So
yeah, and it does feel like there are some like scene changes. Arguably, for me, gave me enough context as to progressive, like, passage of time. But you're right,
they
like,
passed.
some like, some little indication of there's a time skip here would probably help out.
Well, yeah, my whole thing is I know that time passed. I'm only wondering how much because that matters. Where, like, if I was in the military for one day.
Between. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's a difference between me being in the... Yeah.
Because you had said to me it felt like the passage of time between him getting off Corellia, then joining the Imperial military, then going off with, his mentor and their group to do his first big job. Like, there were skips of time in between those, but it was confusing as to how much time had passed between all of those events. And then factoring in Han's age there. Especially his lady love, who clearly has gone through some shit. But again, how much, like, we don't need to know her backstory because she was clearly alluding to stuff that they didn't want to show on camera. Right. Yeah.
Like I do believe like they were basically like I was wondering, like, I was like, is she just gonna be like oh look, I just want to know what happened to you, sex slave Han, Jesus. Like, yeah. I was wondering, when are they, like, are they gonna, are they not? Okay, they're not. Because the criminal organization that she's inducted into, and she does have the stamp of their, like, she does have on her wrist an insignia of Crimson Dawn. And the leader, air quotes on leader, for Crimson Dawn, that guy, yeah, you can totally tell he's a total jackass. So, right from the minute he steps on screen. Yeah. Also, in general, like, they've talked about on earlier on in the movie, they talked about quote unquote being sold, like we'll be sold or whatever. Like that was talked about, but then it was never really brought up again. It was never delved into. But then when she was just like things that I've done, you never know if that means I've murdered or, other bad stuff. So like. I'm not saying they had to delve into it. Believe me, I'm fine. We don't need Mad Max shit here. I'm fine. Yeah. Right? Right. But at the same time, though, it was just one of those things where, again, like you don't know what I've done, Han. He's like, it's actually been like a week. What have you done? Again,
I mean,
the past is I know.
Also,
it's been a while.
She's probably killed multiple times to get to where she is as well, which is something that Han kind of will only do if it's the last resort. Like, that's also the thing. Like, Han's character, he plays up the fact of, Solo, the name Solo. Like, it's just me, all about me. I'm here to get my pay and get out. But even her, Kira, her character states about Han's character, like, you're the good guy in the end. Like, you don't play yourself up to be, but when it really comes down to it, you are. And that's why you're different. Yeah.
And I think when looking at their dynamic, it was very interesting. I think that she played it up enough, like, we're I can't turn back thing. I'm not saying she didn't mention it at all, but I do think that the end of the movie was kind of not left field, but it was a bit of a turn that I think was only made just for a sequel opportunity. Where I think what I'm saying is if there were no sequels, they wouldn't have lived happily ever after. She would have died protecting Han.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have made her the villain just to be like, and we're never making a sequel again, and they wouldn't have made them happy together because obviously Han's life is filled with sadness. So they would have killed her off. And I'm not saying that I'm not happy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I think she should have, I'm not happy that she's alive. I just think I'm not happy that she's alive and a villain because, again, jumping back to the whole hubris thing, I think it was hubris to think, we're going to need them for more Solo movies. Now, granted, if she appears in a Maul movie or a Boba Fett movie, I'm all in for that, right? Heck, I would like there to be, if there's a Boba Fett movie, I would love for Han to be in it.
Right. Yeah.
I just don't know if I don't know if I want a Solo 2. I don't know if these prequel movies should span sequels.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if these, Star Wars stories should have sequels within themselves. Like, it always feels like, okay, maybe it's just a precedent that may have been set with Rogue One that it's supposed to be a standalone. But honestly, when you have a series like Star Wars and we're still getting, the episodic ones that are supposed to be an overarching story with multiple parts, I feel like it's better when you have side stories, it's better to keep them as standalones.
I'll admit, though, when Episode 9 is over and done with, but they still want to do a yearly Star Wars movie, I can see, I think that's when I'm like, Solo 2, fair. But I feel odd if the next movie after Episode 9 is Solo 2.
Right.
I'd be like, no, I'd rather a different movie. But here's the thing. In no way do I want the cast of Solo to stop being in things because I love Donald Glover as Lando. I love all of I really do enjoy these characters and enjoy this cast. I just think that the movie was a bit too fast-paced, but in terms of, again, not like slowing down to let certain things not even just let them hit or to let them sit, but just the idea that when I say the whole about like not knowing about Han's age, it's not like it's a partial joke, but it's mostly the fact that he just looks like it's been years, allegedly, between everything that's gone down, and he just looks exactly the same in terms of his outfit and his facial. Granted, maybe by the end of it he's a bit more rugged. But I just think, because the idea is that looking at Woody Harrelson's character, who I think did really build up the fact throughout the movie that, hey, man, don't trust anybody, don't trust people, to the point where I didn't think it was such a big shock that I'm surprised that the filmmakers really shot it in a way where it's like, who is betraying him? Unless they wanted us to think that it was Lando, which that's kind of understandable, I think. Perhaps. But I was kind of like, wait, it's Woody Harrelson's character, right? And then when it was someone sitting in front of us in the theater, she was like, was that supposed to be a shock? And I laughed really hard because I was like, but she's right, though.
I mean, I got to admit, I laughed too. At the same, like, it was funny because for me, it was like half and half. I was like, all right, I get it. It's an obvious twist, but, like, come on.
Well, again, I think that maybe they wanted us to think it was someone else who wasn't him, perhaps.
Right.
Because
it was going to be one or the other. It was either going to be him or Kira. And
yeah.
I feel like Kira's character would have been the most obvious. Like, oh, I'm going to betray you in the end. At least when it's the mentor, it's also an obvious twist, but a step back. So he's kind of like the second in line for the obvious betrayal.
It was going to be Chewbacca. Shadow of a doubt. Chewie? Ugh. Like, literally, it's like, my name is Chewbacca S. Sampson, you twit. Puts on a monocle and a top hat. Chewie is actually our top advisor.
Oh, my God.
You son of a Wookiee. Just has to fight you.
Yeah, no, the insult that he gave him when they were in the pit together trying to break out. I can't remember exactly what he said, but something about your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And he just tackled him into the...
Oh, right. Stephen Blum was in the film. Stephen Blum was in the film as a stormtrooper.
Now, okay, I haven't looked that up officially, but if I
know
it's
him.
Steve Blum's
you can look
voice,
it up.
like I think I do.
Me too. Like, yeah,
okay.
no. You can look it up.
He definitely played one of those stormtroopers. And the hilarious part was, like, when we saw this, like, I leaned over to you and I'm like, the funny part is, like, I've played games and he plays the stormtrooper voice, and it's hilarious and it's beautiful, and I'm just happy to see Steve Blum getting work because, we love him.
That's the thing, for this, the fact that you and I have seen him we've seen him as Tom on Toonami, we've seen him in Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Wolverine, Orochimaru. He wasn't in Orochimaru. There's not like no Orochimaru standalone film, but he's been these characters. You and I know his voice, so if that wasn't him, then who the fuck would you get to do a voice alike for Stephen Blum?
Yeah.
Or Stephen Blum.
That's fair.
But yeah. But anyway, so. That was funny. Also, the fact that he's you have Han being like, I kind of speak Wookiee, so could you not? And I love that. That's all that Chewbacca needed. Like, oh, before I didn't know. I ate people before, but now that I know that you speak Wookiee, we're good. Like, I will admit that's a little off.
To be fair, I think he only ate when they probably starved him to death, for fuck's sake. But I think Chewie more just beat the shit out of people they threw in there and not necessarily ate them.
Well, I mean, that's what the stormtroopers said. They're like, hey, he's hungry.
True.
I guess to make us think. Yeah. Granted, I'm sure that line was also to make us think that it's not Chewbacca.
Right, but also the fact of the fuck do stormtroopers know about Wookiees? Also.
That's true. Well, they're not stupid. They can read. You think? I don't know.
I feel like that's debatable sometimes.
Right. So that was like they met and that was fun. One thing that I have to say though is, and I think that the movie does a great job of making me kind of forget. And this is still going to be a criticism for the movie, even though because the movie was made with this in mind, so it's still a criticism. Even though I have to admit, on the other side, the movie did a great job making me forget that more than half, if not half, of the people who are, the main characters in this movie were never in any danger, ever. And the movie did a great job of making me forget that. But
okay. Yeah, I was the best. Right. Gotcha.
No, it did a good job of making me not making me forget, but making me feel like okay, like I'm still engaged, I'm still entertained. Again, the dialogue and the cast right? Good job. But I still have to criticize the movie because it was made in mind with the fact that Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Lando Calrissian were never going to be hurt. Not even maimed.
I mean, Lando got shot.
Maimed, though. Like, he's not going to lose an arm. Not going to lose a leg.
He was injured. Dude, like, taking a blaster bolt in the shoulder still hurts like fuck.
Anyone can get injured. Yeah, well, he was given Han handshakes very, like, with nothing ever happened years later. Here's what I'm saying. Like, there was no, I didn't sit back thinking, oh my God, are these characters going to die? And that's kind of in a movie like this, that's the thrill. It's not like, it's not Lando Calrissian goes to buy milk at the deli. It's, it's not Han Solo goes to the supermarket with Chewie, and Chewie sheds, so that's really bad. Like, no. Like, Chewie sheds over the lettuce. Like, no one...
Oh, my God. That might be racist? I'm not sure. I don't know if he shed or not.
I thought they did. I thought that was a point in one of the movies. I could swear it was.
I
thought
remember that.
I feel like one of them said it. Maybe one of them said it as a joke, and we'll keep and we had Chewbacca being like, "You fucking assholes," in his language.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, but anyway, but what I'm trying to get at here though is
got sucked into a black hole, for fuck's sake.
Right, and they would have died, Tristan. We would have never gotten episode 4.
Yeah, but
no, but
Han's a fucking ace pilot. And they had a genius robot brain put into the Navicomputer. So, it's okay.
I'm not. What are you talking about? That's not an argument. What the fuck? What are you doing?
No,
What? I'm confused. No, I'm saying there was, because of episode 4, there was no tension. However, they did entertain me, which is good. Not again, the script wasn't necessarily bad. It's just that I have to acknowledge that the movie's premise was based around the fact that none of them could die. Like when you saw episodes 4, 5, and 6 as a kid, you didn't know what was going to happen, and not because you were a kid, because they weren't prequels.
Yeah.
And at least with 1, 2, and 3, it's not like the main character was C-3PO. If the main character was, I would have been pissed. I would have been like, I know what's going to happen to him. I'm just saying that, like, the movies, while they did a great job on the other hand, on the other side of it, the movies were still made where I'm going to, like, this isn't like Doctor Who, because Doctor Who, the character can technically die at any time and can regenerate, at least. Even though people say, is Doctor Who never going to die? Technically could, and will regenerate, and we'd be like, oh my God, that was extremely unexpected, actually. They didn't tell us that they recast the Doctor,
Right.
Like, they can do a crazy bait and switch like that. But, like, so wait a minute. So, Tristan, so you're telling me that you went into this thinking, oh, my God, Han might die.
Well,
that's kind of – but that matters.
That's not what I was
because,
trying to say. Yeah.
Right. But that matters because we go into even episode 9, right? Or episode 7 and 8. Even with these brand new characters. I mean, yes, the idea is that, Rey and Finn and Poe won't die. But at the same time, with episode 7, I thought Poe died. I was like, oh, God. Right. They brought in this new guy, and he was cool. And then he died.
Yeah.
And then he didn't. I was like, oh, okay. But he could have died in episode 8. Technically, right. Finn could have, too. Granted, I don't know if the stakes were that high for Finn to die in that movie, but he could have, right? He was kind of close to until Rose saved him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We go into those movies, the tension is the tension not in the fact that these people could die at any minute because war? It's in the title. Not that you go into it hoping they die, but like...
Right. No,
isn't that what, not all movies? Because not all movies are surrounded by battles. But
yeah, true. I guess for me is the idea that I'm watching this in the moment. Like, of course, I know in the back of my mind, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Lando Calrissian, they're not going to die in this movie, obviously. But I kind of, I don't know whether you want to call it a suspension of disbelief or I'm just there to have fun with it and I just go along with it for the sake of the movie. But, like, if they're in danger, like, there's still the idea of, oh, shit, they're in trouble. They are in danger. This danger is real.
Yeah. Yes. Well, no, here's the thing. I'm not saying that I can't, just like in the same way that, so I was spoiled a lot for most of this movie. Like, I knew she was going to turn bad. I didn't know when or how, but I knew she was. I knew Darth Maul was going to appear, but I didn't know when and how. I knew that the droid was going to scream about droid rights. I just didn't know how big of a role she played in the movie. So with all three of those things, even knowing them, I wanted to go see The Journey. So I'm not saying that you're wrong for wanting to see The Journey. In fact, I'm telling you that The Journey actually was able to counteract the fact that it's true, though, you know, the movie was made knowing that there was going to be less tension due to the fact that none of these characters are going to die. I'm not saying that, I didn't want to see the movie because of that, because we saw it, and I've talked to you about how much I've liked it, but we cannot deny the fact that the movie was made on flawed ground, if you will. Like, it exceeded expectations somehow, but it was made on, like I said, flawed ground. Because also another thing, too, is like when you're reading a book, I don't know, I feel like reading the books or reading the comics, there's a sense of, I guess, getting so much, it's kind of like you're like, I don't want to say reading a textbook because that sounds, academics are going to be like, you motherfucker. But you're absorbing this knowledge like, this is their backstory. Where like with a movie, especially it being so short and it being kind of a snippet, compared to like if this was a TV series, I wouldn't be talking about the tension because we'd be seeing more about their backstories, things play out differently. I actually would never have complained about a Han Solo TV series. I would have loved it, or some kind of bounty hunter TV series. I would have adored that, and I wouldn't have said what I'm saying. I mean, I would have had a little bit of what I'm saying right now, but not too much. But when you make it into a movie and make it into, movies are events, right? They're big deals. I mean, can you imagine if you're watching Jurassic Park and obviously, again, as a kid, you may have known there were three, but after seeing the second one, you're like, well, I don't know what the third one's going to be about, and I know you didn't like it. But the point is that isn't it a bit harder to watch a movie if you know, not even a TV series, but like a movie, if you know these characters are going to be A-okay. Now, I get it. I know the second or third time you're watching it because you love it. But I mean that first experience, it's a bit flawed. Like if they make a Jurassic Park prequel and we know that Grant is going to be okay. Or we know that, I don't remember his character's name, the one that's being played by Chris Pratt. If there was like some Jurassic World sequel for some odd reason,
right.
and he's fine because he's running around with dinos as a kid, like granted, whoever is running around with him, we're like, oh shit, you might die. But the thing is, because they included Chewbacca, which obviously why wouldn't they, and they included Lando, which was a great addition. I love Donald Glover. He was amazing as Lando Calrissian. But that's already three people on the main cast that were like, you have bulletproof armor. Versus like the Doctor, who legitimately could die, technically. I mean, now we know more than ever, sadly, with the castings and everything, and they try to, fake us out. Not fake us out, but they try to get before the Twitter crowd and then, like, release the casting of the Doctor months before they've even regenerated or even thought about regenerating them.
Right.
But still, we know that the Doctor could die, and if something went wrong with Capaldi, like if something crazy went wrong, not like passing away, but something else had went wrong, they could have easily been like, yeah, we're replacing him tomorrow. Let's film that scene. Yeah, where it's not like, although maybe Han is a Time Lord. Maybe he can regenerate. He looked completely different in this movie. He looked nothing like the Han that we remember. No, but you see what I mean, though, right? I'm not saying that it's not entertaining. I'm not saying that you're wrong in terms of the whole let's experience it in the moment, let's experience what's going on. But before we even saw the movie, it was a bit of a, like a slight balloon deflation compared to Episode 7, where we're just like, not just because of Episode 7 being Episode 7, but us being like, what's going to happen here? I mean, even with Rogue One, we're like, who are these people? Who are you people?
I mean, well, there's a movie that does the exact opposite.
Right, which I felt sad about because I didn't think everyone had to die. Like, 2 of them could have been on a random planet somewhere and never have contacted anyone else again.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they
The
could have
rebellion
had
is
that
large.
go multiple ways. But when you're going after the Death Star plans, it's kind of assumed it's going to be a suicide mission.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying that, like, the rebellion is large. They never really had to meet up physically, shake Leia's hand, you know?
Yeah.
But you know what? Let's say, I'll say it like this. Let's say, for some odd reason, at the time for Rogue One, they had recast Carrie Fisher, or recast Leia, rather, a young Leia, and was like, I'm going to go on the front lines because, damn it, I'm strong and powerful, which, of course, Leia is. If she was on that mission with them, we'd be like, so Leia's going to be just fine. Oh, no, Leia's about to fall off the bridge. You mean the bridge that she's going to climb? Yep, she climbed back up on it. She's just fine. You see what I mean? Like, us not knowing any of the characters, you're like, oh, yeah, no, they're all going to fucking die. And I'm like, Tristan, one of them can know they're all going to die. I'm like, Tristan, hold me. They're all dying. You know, so, and it's so interesting, too, because here's the thing as well. Not only did no one die in this movie, but no one died the hero. Other than, of course, to be fair, I forgot her name, but the robot, the droid.
Yeah.
She would love me calling her that.
Yeah, Lando's co-pilot.
She died the hero.
L8R something. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, she died the hero, to be fair. But it seemed like, and to be fair, arguably, like, the Wookiees on that planet, the prison planet, died the hero.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they get, because it's kind of sad, because I even said to you as we were watching the movie, I kind of leaned over, I'm like, so this whole, heist that they have to get this unrefined coaxium, I think it was called?
Yes.
Very, very rare element that they can use for, various different means. One of them is, fuel for hyperspace fuel kind of deal. But like they were on Kessel, and like apparently the Pikes were still running the whole deal on Kessel, but like when the Empire takes over completely and they have control of Kessel, it's the idea like you are sent, like it's still you're sent there for slave labor, but like no one leaves Kessel. When you are sent to Kessel, you die. Like Kessel is a very, very scary place.
Yeah.
So like when I was like, oh, they're causing a riot so they can escape on the Falcon and take, the coaxium and get out and get their payday, I'm like, so the riot they incited, no one else is getting out of this alive. But from the looks of it, some of those Wookiees that Chewbacca ran into might have actually escaped. If they found a ship. They might have made it out.
And then later on, they actually end up being Chewbacca's family that we see in the holiday special. Blow my fucking brains out.
I don't know what you're talking about, Matt.
Yeah, right? You Jedi mind wiped yourself in the mirror.
I find no evidence of this thing you said. It's not in the databanks. I don't know what you're talking about.
We see that half of Tristan's torso is gone.
It's okay.
Question.
You're gonna pull through. It's okay. I can fix you.
God, that made me cry. Can you?
That's funny. Now that is the one point where I will actually point out. Now, don't get me wrong. I love droids as much as the next person, and seeing a droid die on screen makes me sad. But when I saw Lando, like, holding her, it's like, okay, I'm not going to lie, you can repair a droid.
Thank you. I actually was thinking the same thing. I still was upset at the moment, but I was like, wait, can she not actually be repaired? But
right.
But I think the way she was destroyed, perhaps.
If her head was damaged, that would be different. But if it's just
so
bodily
then you think
damage,
her head should have? Do you think her head should have been damaged then?
Well, I mean, she was pretty damaged, but that was the thing. Like, they used her whatever memory core that she had.
Yeah.
They used to put into the Navicomputer so that they could fly through the Maw, which was really cool for me because that's a piece of Legends. Like, the Maw is a very dangerous part of space, which is basically a nebula. Like, if we're thinking to like real space terms, it's a nebula.
Right.
Space gas,
I always ask
asteroids, black holes. Yeah.
Is that where Snoke is supposed to be from, or no?
That's the unknown reaches of space. That's if you look at like if I pulled up a map of the galaxy of the Star Wars galaxy, that would be like we're thinking cardinal directions. That's to the west. The Maw is actually on the eastern side of the galaxy. It's just a small nebula that's right near Kessel.
Mm-hmm.
Which in Legends is usually hiding a lot of Imperial like research facilities where they build God knows what. Oh, L337. That's the name of Lando's droid.
Yes, and it's interesting because
I had to get that in there.
Yes, thank you. She so also I loved her character too. And again, people who I believe did not see the film were like, there's a droid pushing for droid rights. And again, I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait, do we not want droids to have rights now? No, it's not that. It's about the fact that she's pushing for them like a feminist would push for rights. Okay, but if you see the movie, you're meant to laugh at her.
Right. And then you would point it out, it's like, so then people on the other side are also mad at that because it's like you're meant to laugh at her character.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone say that. I'm just saying that the other side could come in and say that. I've never seen anyone on the left criticizing this character, actually, to be fair. So I haven't heard any left people on the left or YouTubers on the left criticizing her character. I'm just saying that she is open to that criticism, which is just one of those things where it's like, I feel like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like, you either include the character, and then some people who have a sense of humor on the left laugh at it like, oh, that's actually funny. Especially when Lando was like, want me to get you anything? And she's like, equal rights? And he's like, yeah, do you actually expect that? Or like, and he just walks away.
Right.
Like his face and his hand gestures were like, and like he walks away.
I
so
mean,
like,
to be fair, like,
it
kind of makes sense. Like in universe, it makes sense because most people in the Star Wars universe wouldn't actually think of droid rights as a thing either.
Right.
But like,
I'm just saying
to say that it's like on either side of people watching the movie. Like, not to say that's a good thing, but like that's a bad thing about the Star Wars universe. It's like, yeah, no one gives a shit about droids except for the few humans, or not human, but heroes.
Humanoid.
There we go. The few heroes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, you see Luke Skywalker. Obviously, he has a connection with R2-D2. Like, they've been through a lot of shit together. Or, you know, if you read the X-Wing novels for Rogue Squadron or Wraith Squadron, you know, Wedge Antilles has a connection with his droid Gate. And, like, they've been through a lot of shit together, too.
I'm crying, but literally not. I've heard everything you said. But I'm crying from laughter because I just pictured, because when you were like, yeah, you know, like Luke has a connection with R2-D2, and I was like, yep, and his dad with C-3PO. And then I pictured, like, Vader,
you're not wrong.
Vader pretty much hurting or murdering everyone in episode, like, 4, let's say, right? Everyone who was working with Obi-Wan. So, like, we're talking about, like, Luke, Leia, Han, just C-3PO shows up. Oh, my. You. Yes? Come over here. Comes over. He just hugs C-3PO, and he's just softly weeping and sobbing.
It's hilarious.
Are you okay? Oh, my God, it's been so long.
Because I kind of watched like there's a theory about that I feel like I need to send you now. That was actually pretty funny for me anyway.
Okay, I could just imagine just Vader just ooh, just as he's breathing in, but then breathing out, crying, holding C-3PO in his arms, not like holding him like as a baby, but like just embracing him. And C-3PO's like, I'm sorry. Is this customary on this ship?
Right.
Like he doesn't know. He's like, what the fuck is this? He's not a dog. He can't sniff that it's on Anakin. He's like, I'm so confused.
Right. But
still. But no, yeah, so obviously, I understand that there are some humanoids or, humanic. Is that what we can call them now? No, but there are some heroes out there that, yes, have no problem with, with droids, and that's cool. But, yes, there is this idea of droid rights presented in the film. But, I just don't see what the problem with that is. If you actually watch the film, you can laugh unless you just really want to sit back and go, no, you can't be in my movie. It's like, I don't know how to feel about that, because, granted, and heck, you can even say some of the stuff that she did was bad. So it's kind of like, wait, then the one that's the, not the human rights, but the one that's the droid rights character did something wrong, and it actually cost them later. Granted, one could say, then why was she in the film? Sure, but still the idea of so then she did a bad thing. So we should actually be like, wow, we should critique her. She wasn't Mrs. Perfect. But whatever. But anyway, so no, because I bring that up because her rebellion actually caused more, even though the rebellion was a good distraction in theory, it then caused a bunch of eyes to go on them when they went off the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
especially when you start throwing around the word rebellion when the Empire is trying to take power. Yeah, gonna get some heads turned in your direction. Gee, I wonder why the fuck. Oh. I mean, granted, this is before an actual rebellion is formed, but still.
Yeah, also, something else that I was very happy about, I thought the way people described the, I saw parts of, people were talking about the film online, I thought that there was an actual rebellion that Han was a part of. I thought, Han jump-started the rebellion, which really, I disagree with that terminology, because the rebellion, yes, he didn't, in a way, he kind of helped it, yes, but it's not like he is a rebel. It's not like he's going to, granted, even though Star Wars Rebels ended, it's not like he's going to appear on Star Wars Rebels. That team would have, the one that he met, we finally realized that they're not terrible people. They're actually just trying to fight the Empire. Yes, they would have appeared on Rebels, but it's not like Han would have been yes, I'm working with these guys. We're, rebels? No, not you. Go away. Han would never, Han doesn't, because that would have really kind of taken away from the episode 4. But really it's kind of added on to the mythos because he is yeah, no, I'm not, or at least backed up the mythos because he's just yeah, I'm not really, that's not really my scene.
Right.
Which is totally what Han says in 4.
It's the idea that he's out for himself and he's out for profit first and foremost. But he's not gonna slit an innocent person's throat just to get paid.
Exactly.
He has a code. There's only so much he's willing to do to get the payment at the end. If it's, we just have to slaughter this village for it. He's like, whoa, that wasn't in the description. Let's back up here for a second. Why does that need to be part of it?
They're a village of murderers and cannibals. Bon appetit?
Oh. Right, in that case.
Wait, what? But, so so I find that, I think that was pretty cool, having him kind of, yes, be a part of it, but not want to join head first. And again, like you said, it made sense in story. He's not, he's someone who will kill if necessary, but he's not sitting out there shooting. It's funny. In episode 4, it does seem like he's out there to kill everyone. But again, he's on a mission where people are shooting at him. What is he going to do? He's not he's not going to shoot back.
Right. I'm not going to defend myself. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So he's going but defending himself, in our opinion, is getting a gun pointed at you, not waiting for them to shoot. Lucas.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he didn't have to wait. Well, are you going to shoot me in the arm or in the chest? Wait, what, kid? I just have to know. Because if you shoot me in the arm, I'm okay with it. But the chest, I will have to shoot you back, sir. What?
Right. Chewbacca's
like, ooh. Subs are like, I don't even know, dude. Like, I just have a code, and it's super strict. It is super duper strict. I mean, like, you have to shoot me first, but not fatally. Because if it's not fatal, then it's fine. But if you shoot me first and it is meant to be fatal, then I'm going to have to shoot you back. Again, it's this very strict code. Also, let's sit down at this table that I just made here. Why is there a table near the side of a cliff? Don't worry about it. Again, very, very strict code that I have going on here. It's like fucking shit, Lucas. Anyway, that's another thing too, by the way. Just people going, I really wish Lucas was doing this again. I'm like, did he? Is there subliminal messaging in the Blu-rays? Did he just Jedi mind trick us? What the fuck? Like, one what's it called? One stipulation is that George Lucas has to edit the Blu-rays for 7 and 8. I'm like, did he put like little tiny things like every time there's like a it's like Lucas is amazing, just like dubbed over underneath. Do you know what I mean, Tristan? Like, I just can't imagine Lucas working on these movies.
On what?
These last
spin-off
3
stories? Oh.
And 7 and 8. But see, last 4 technically. But yes. I don't know, man.
I don't know how to answer that question, man.
We don't have enough time. But yeah, I think. By the way, speaking of some of the characters and the cast and everything, I loved Lando Calrissian. I loved Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. So much like Lando, in my opinion, that he just was.
Yeah, that was
Lando.
Perfect.
He really was. Yeah. Even though they didn't cheat in the Legends version of the game that they played when they played the game. What was the game again?
Sabacc,
thank you. When they played that game for the Millennium Falcon, I'm fine with them cheating now, and the reason why I think is because it just, I don't know, like I know they have the code and everything, but no one's dying, so it just feels like a seedy underbelly thing to do.
Right, exactly. It's gambling. Like, hey, you don't get caught, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah. Although I love how funny it was.
The only thing, I feel like Han Solo would just as easily cheat at a game of Sabacc as Lando did.
Yeah,
like
that's my one problem. Yes. Also, the fact that, in my opinion, and I know not everyone's keeping track of the game, but it's just my humble opinion, Tristan, that when you show up with like 8 kings, I know it was like a 5th king, but like a 5th king, I feel like that's big enough to be like, guys, should we not pick up on that?
I feel like somebody probably would have said something about that, but also everyone's probably drunk as fuck, not gonna lie.
Fair. That's fair.
They're probably not paying close enough attention.
Yes. Also, I love the line, hush, adults are talking. The reason why I liked that line was the fact that, so I liked the line and I didn't like the line. So the reason why I liked the line was because obviously it was just a lot of sass coming from Lando, and it kind of shows the relationship that Lando and Han are going to have, both in the moment and later. Because, when we see them in Episode 6, it's not like they're they're friends, but even Han, I feel, is a little, apprehensive.
Right.
I don't know, maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly, but I feel like Han is even like, hey, it's been a while. Kind of like in a, so we're cool? It seems
at the
like...
end?
In episode 6, even in episode 6. No, because at the end of Solo, it's Lando who's like, hey. But in episode 6, it seems like Han is the one that's like, hey.
You mean 5?
5, my bad, 5, yes. So it seems like 5 is like, hey, man, what's going on? Sorry, my brain, now I feel bad about shitting on Lando as much as I have, because now he's been played by Donald Glover, especially him being so smooth. I'm just like, nah, Lando's a cool guy. And it's like, Matt, do you remember what happened in episode 5? And I'm like, no, it was episode 95. What do you mean? It never happened. Lando was doing what he needed to do. Now my opinion on Lando has changed completely. But anyway.
Oh, I love the fact that Han does the exact motion that Lando does. Like, the same, like, hands
handshake
up in the same manner.
Mm-hmm.
And then goes in for the hug. Hey, how you doing, buddy? And the other one is completely fucking confused.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what's so funny about that kind of twist. So it shows their relationship and you know how it kind of mirrors over time. But what I was saying though was the reason why I don't like the whole like hush, adults are talking. Again, it just comes back to the same thing where I sit back and I'm like, is Han not actually an adult? Like, how much older is Lando really? Like, Lando
Right.
does look a little bit older than Han, but I feel like in this movie they look like they are not that far apart in age. Where if you see them
Right.
in episode 5, you could see it. You could see Billy D. Williams is a bit older than Harrison Ford. You can kind of see that, I think.
Right.
But when they say in this movie, in Solo, Lando retired, I thought it's retired like in general, I just don't want to do this anymore. Not I'm too old for this shit. Because Gambino does not look, I'm sorry, not Gambino, that's a different person. Glover does not look too old for this shit.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he looks super young. I mean, I don't know how old Donald Glover actually is, because I think he's in his 30s, but he does not look too old for this shit. Like, he looks like he can easily do this and keep on doing this. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know, like, Han doesn't look like he's like 19 years old or something.
Right.
He looks like he's 25 at the minimum.
Right.
He looks, again, we don't even, I know like we're a bad, if you guys have seen us on our Let's Play and everything, we're a bad metric for, yeah, you guys are clearly adults. Bad metric, I'm sure. But still, especially me being as short as I am. But like, it just seems odd that like he is just like we look at Han and we're supposed to be like, yeah, that young adult, and I'm like, you mean that guy in his like mid-20s? It's
Right.
like, no, that guy's he's barely not a teenager, and I'm like, you mean that Han Solo? Like I will admit, the actor does bring a certain youthfulness that can even kind of, it can definitely lean on naivety, I will admit. But at the same time, just his look alone does not make him look like he is but a teenager who's been cast into war. Like, he always, like, you know, his cockiness, again, yes, you can say his cockiness is part of his naivety, but it's not like when he's in episode 4, he's really fucking humble. Like, it's not like in episode 4, he's learned everything and he's fucking Master Yoda.
Right.
You know, like, he still has a certain, like, cockiness to him. Granted, he's not, you know, he's not early movie Solo Han. Of course, he's grown. But still, I do feel as if it's just odd the way everyone treats him like a kid. Because here's the thing, right? If Solo, if the actor looked the part and was really young, it actually kind of makes sense that Woody Harrelson's character takes him in as like an apprentice in a sense, you know, like, hey, he's just a kid, right? But I got to be honest with you, man, it came off to me as like, these guys are very trusting for, you know, bounty hunters who are just looking for, granted, I know you're going to come in with, but Matt, they were clearly understaffed. They needed anyone.
I mean, that's also true, but even his wife, or at least I'm pretty sure it was his wife, even she's just like, you're way too fucking trusting. These are a bunch of newbies.
Yeah.
This is not a job for newbies. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, like in my opinion, I thought they were going to betray them very early on and try to pin them for something and they'll be thrown in jail. Like, I wonder if that was a potential route and then they just
almost did.
went against it. What do you mean?
I mean, they did at the very beginning before they let them on the ship in the first place.
No. When I say jail, I mean, like, let me explain. I thought it was going to be like
during the job,
they go on,
letting them take the fall.
Yeah, they go on the Kessel Run. they go on the Kessel Run and they're just like goodbye, and they like throw him in prison on Kessel or something. Like it seemed like they were like in my head I was like, they got newbies on the job, they're gonna point the finger at them, but they didn't, like they weren't on the job yet, you know. So
Right.
that's what you said. Like they weren't on the job yet. It was just pinning it so that they can actually get away. And granted, you could say like, you know what, if this kid got out of that shit, I mean, he's useful, which is true. But I don't know, just the phrase "this kid," and yes, Woody Harrelson's character is older, but the phrase "this kid" to me is usually used when it's like a teenager to like maybe like 19 or 20. But like I don't know, like it just seemed like his character was a bit older than that. So it was weird, and again, because he's so much older, it's like you're just trusting this random man and his Wookiee friend.
Right.
Where if they were both, I mean, obviously Chewbacca wouldn't be in his 20s. I mean, he's in his 140s, and he looks great. that was funny to me. You're how old? Yeah. But
I mean, Chewie was served in the Clone Wars, for fuck's sake. He's been around.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a fan of him being in it, but it's canon, so it makes sense. But I just feel like, again, the whole like his age thing, and the reason why I'm harping on that is because, you know, this whole atmosphere in the movie is you fucking little shit when he looks like he's already a man. Like,
I mean,
so it's
you can still call someone a fucking little shit even if they're already a man.
Of course. No, but you wouldn't think of them as a man. You know, like you'd be like, oh, like you think of him as like a baby, but like oh god, this baby whining. But like with Solo in this movie, like he just did not seem like this like little snot-nosed kid, but he was kind of being treated that way, like
adults are
hush.
talking.
Yes, exactly. Excuse me, adults are talking. You know, it just felt like, granted, yes, he was his. That's another thing too, by the way. He was his mentor, but like not as much as I would have liked to. But like I would have preferred, even though I like what they did with Woody Harrelson's character, in a way I kind of would have liked if they knew each other on Cresselia, because it's kind of odd that Corellia. Thank you. What I like is that I keep on mispronouncing it wrong, so I've rebranded it in the name of Cresselia.
Oh God, no.
No, but I like that I keep on getting it the right. I get it the right way wrong.
No, that's a different planet, Matt.
Wait, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's
at least I'm naming.
Never mind.
Never mind. Fuck. I thought I was like in my data banks. I was just like naming other planets. I'd be like, yes, I'm doing it.
You were close.
Yeah. Oh, I love how they even because usually okay. So there were some things in the movie that I was even like, Tristan, half jokingly, half not. I was like, Tristan, take me home, because of the like we don't need everything explained to us. Like his name is Han Solo. Just be like, I don't need it explained. Like, well, I have no people, so I'm Solo. Like it makes him seem a bit edgy. You know,
and it's
like it's a cool
the
name.
Imperial officer that just gives it to him.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
That was
so like
fun.
I don't need. It was funny, but I don't need that. However, what I think I needed, and I needed badly, is why everyone's like, "Hey, Han," and why fucking Lando just calls him Han. And I'm like, are we really allowing this in Episode 5? I'm like, really?
Oh my God.
And I love that, but I love that we explained why. Yes. But I forgot. What did Han mispronounce first?
Wow.
Did he mispronounce the name of the card game first? Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Because Lando.
I think so.
Yeah. Because didn't he call it Sabak?
Yeah.
To shit on Lando.
Sabak, right? Yeah. It's like Sabak.
Right, and because Lando's like, this kid's trying to hustle me. Because in my head, I knew he thought, I'm used to trying to hustle. So he's like, what's your name, kid? And he's like, Han. He goes, all right, Han. And I was like, ha.
Yeah.
But no, I love that. That's the reason why he calls him Han. Because it's because the reason why is because, like, I think I said this when we did our Star Wars Wednesday podcast on episode 5, but if I didn't, then I'll hone in on it now. It feels like one of those anime dubs where, like, one character has one name, one pronunciation, but, like, 3 other characters call him by 3 different names, like pronunciations, and I'm like, why? It's the same universe. People would be thinking you're pronouncing it wrong.
Right.
And if anyone's like, "What do you mean, Matt?" Well, like the reason why some characters in like Naruto would be like, "Hey Naruto," or like, "Hey Naruto," or like Sasuke being like, "Naruto," when it's like, "Dude, just calm the fuck down. Holy shit, we're getting ramen." What do you mean, Naruto? It's like, dude, just calm down. What do you mean? Everything's fine. Is something wrong, Kakashi? It's like, oh, Jesus. Actually, no, it's not even like, I don't even think the actor did that with, like, Kakashi. But, and I love his actor, by the way, Sasuke's voice actor. But whenever he said Naruto, it wasn't like, hey, Naruto. It came off as like, Naruto! When everyone else is like, hey, Naruto! Or, like, other variations. And it's like no one would look at Goku and be like, hey, Goku. It'd be like, hello, Goku.
Right.
In English. Like, everyone's like, hey, Goku, hey, Goku, hey, Goku, hey, Vegeta. No one's like, hello, Vegeta. So, like, so that's the thing. So, like, the fact that in episode 5 it was like, hey, Han, I'm like, why is he calling him Han? Everyone says Han. Who didn't tell Lando? And now that we know, I'm like, actually, that's really funny. I accept that. That's actually really cool. Because, like, I didn't need Han being like he did earlier in the film, like, well, that's a long name. We're going to need to find you a nickname. It's just like, just call him Chewie eventually. And if there's an issue, it's funnier. Just, hey, Chewie, go over there. I'm not going to call you Chewbacca every time.
Right.
Like, I think that's funnier to me rather than it being like, we're going to have to find you a nickname. Oh, that's how. Oh, I didn't. That's how we gave him the nickname. You see what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
But
they
but
can't
obviously,
all be
yes.
winners, Matt.
Should we? They can't. No, they can't all be winners. No.
Sometimes you have a good hand in Sabacc, and sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you have a good hand in Sabacc.
All the same.
Sometimes you have a good hand in Sabacc. Sometimes you don't have a good hand in Sabacc. It just happens.
And sometimes the motherfucker at the other end of the table has a card up his goddamn sleeve.
I feel like if Darth Maul lost, he'd just be like, oh, but wait a minute. Just slices the table and murders everyone.
Oh, my God.
So
no,
speaking
he has
of Darth
somebody
Maul,
else play for him. Yeah, you keep bringing up Darth Maul, Matt. I don't, like, is that a plot twist? Is that a big thing? Is that a reveal?
I feel odd that he was in the film. I want to love it, but I also
and so many
feel
other
like
people.
it's... No, here's the thing. I love it because
I'm going to tell you why.
I know.
I'm going to tell you why it feels weird, because I know why it feels weird, Matt. But guess what? It makes sense.
No, here's the thing.
No,
I love it.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
No, I thought you were gonna like break a bottle and be like, I'm gonna tell you why you love it.
I mean, I'm kind of, but
yeah.
I mean, there is a legit reason why Maul would be in the criminal underworld. I'm not just blowing smoke. Like that's a thing.
You're not just.
Go ahead.
You're not just blowing smoke. What?
I will slit your throat. I will break a bottle of Carillion ale and slit your throat with it.
Yeah, well, I will break a bottle of
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. I raise you 50 credits. Let's see you come up with a Star Wars drink.
Caraxian ale. No, that will explode everything. Just to blow up the entire fucking planet. You said you wanted me to raise you. I raised you. Caraxian.
No, you know what? You know what?
Die.
That's fair. Honestly, that might actually be named after something.
Yeah.
Like,
anyway.
you tried. I'll give you points. All right, you get to live.
But it's in the universe, correct? See it. I don't know if you can make a drink out of it. You'd probably murder someone. I'm sure there's someone in Star Wars that if that was made into a drink
after it.
No. I meant like the actual itself, like the actual in the movie, the actual. But I'm saying I'm sure someone in the universe could drink it and not die. Probably Snoke, funnily enough.
Oh God.
I feel there has to be someone in that universe who, if that was turned into ale and it was explosive, they could drink it and not die.
You'll find the dark side leads to many powers that are deemed unnatural.
Right? That would be great. Just literally every good Force user. I'm not really good with tacos. It just really messes up my bowels. Just Vader. You understand that the dark side brings many.
Oh, it unbalances me.
My God. You just have Vader just eating ghost pepper. They're like, he's a madman. But anyway, look, with Maul, hear me out. And everyone has to hear me out. I love it because of the fact that I've always wanted Darth Maul not to be dead. And of course, I know, because I know why it makes sense, because he's appeared in animated media. If anyone wants to know which, I'm not going to spoil it for you if you don't know, but you can check out some animated series. I'll assure you it's not Ewoks. It's not Ewoks, the animated series. They all would have died or he would have killed himself. But he would have been like, I'm getting the fuck off this planet as soon as I can. They're like, why, sir? Get away from me. I will eat all of you. You eat Ewoks? No, but I will start. Go away.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. But
that actually.
But
does.
no.
There was
but
a point
seriously,
in his life where that might have actually been a thing had he ended up on it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I'm just saying that he I understand why he's alive. He actually came back in some animated media, and it was like, oh my God, he didn't die in episode 1. And so, like, fans who've seen other stuff that's still canon, because the animated stuff is actually still. I don't know about Ewoks. What?
No, not Ewoks.
I don't know.
I'm
saying I don't know about. I'm being serious. I don't know about like droids and Ewoks, but the animated stuff is still canon. It's just that all the books and the comics pre 2016, right? Is that when they? Because I know that the new Marvel comics are canon, right? Or are they they're canon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
So but when they started making the new Marvel comics, weren't they like 2016?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So pre that, the comics and books aren't canon. Animated stuff like Clone Wars and Rebels, which one was Maul in? Find out next time. No, but those are canon. So because he was in one or both of those, it kind of is like, oh, this makes sense that he's here and he has bionic legs. Like, it all checks out. I just feel like for the standard moviegoer, granted, if you're watching Solo, I imagine you would have seen episode 1. I'm imagining. But for the standard moviegoer, it feels a little odd. Like, if you're someone who said, I've seen 4, 5, and 6, I haven't really kept up with the Star Wars stuff because frankly, maybe this person doesn't care. They're like your dad's age. They're like, I saw, well, then again, they probably saw episode 1 and then checked out. But still, they're like, I didn't want to see episode 1, 2, and 3. I saw 4, 5, and 6. And then
my dad has kept up with everything with me, so.
I meant they're your dad's age, dude.
I know.
They don't have to. Not everyone your dad's age is a Star Wars fan. They could have seen 4, 5, and 6 and went, that was for me, but I don't want to see any of the newer stuff. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying your dad. I know your dad. Ish. I know about your dad. I've seen your dad in your house.
I saw this man in your house. I assumed he was your father. I mean,
I've had several, if not 2, conversations with your dad. I've had like 2. I've had more than 1. But yeah, so I'm not talking about your dad, but I'm talking about if there's someone who's been like, yeah, I'm not really into the newer Star Wars, even 1, 2, and 3. They were like, not really for me. they may have been like, oh, this is about Han Solo. I like Han Solo. You know, and they wanted to go see it, perhaps. It's just a little odd to include him in this. Now, it makes sense in the timeline that if he's still alive, he would be around. And frankly, I would love to see him meet Han. I know you don't, because you're like, he'd murder him. Please don't.
Yeah.
But still, I would like to see them meet. Maybe not in another Han Solo movie, of course, but I would love to see the two of them, I don't know about hang out, but like, I'd like to see a meeting. But still, I feel as if it's just odd to include him. That's the thing. I don't hate it. I wouldn't not do it. Like, I'm not sitting here like, don't do it. But I'm just, again, it just feels, it's the exact opposite. Don't do it. But it does feel as if it's odd. Because, again, not everyone is you and I who know about other, you know, because it's not even like it was other live action or something like that, you know? I don't know. It makes sense. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, no, I understand why people would be, like, okay, yes, I know, not everyone will watch Rebels or Clone Wars, and just seeing him making an appearance in this movie be like, what is going on? But then, for the other side, it's like, people who have watched and kept up with this stuff, it's annoying to hear people go like, why is Maul in here? That doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. It's like, can you not? Please?
Well, but wait a minute, though. But what you're saying is people who don't know about things that they don't have to know about are claiming that it's stupid. Yes, you could say, well, they should look it up first, which I'm not saying is not fair. But if they're claiming it's stupid, they're claiming it's stupid because, like, okay, hear me out, right? It would be like if Avengers Infinity War referenced 1970s Incredible Hulk as if it were canon. That's a lot to ask people. And granted, that wasn't 30 years ago.
That's also a much larger time. Yeah, I was about to say that's a much larger
it's time. You're right. You're right. But, however, it is, Episode 1 did come out in 99. So that is 19 years ago now? So you're right, larger gap.
Yeah.
But 19 years is still a pretty long time.
Yeah, but Clone Wars and Rebels have also been within the last 10 years. And
right.
If
Sorry,
you want to
so
talk
that one, yes.
specific season, that's even closer, so...
Okay,
yes,
so then think of it like this then.
I understand the point you're trying to make.
Actually, no, but you're actually right. I'm making a bad point, so I'll make a better one. There was a really good Marvel show, an Avengers one. I forgot what the exact name of it was, but it was canceled after 3 seasons, which really pissed everyone off because they were going to do something really cool with Civil War in the show itself. Because it didn't really follow a canon. It just had some characters that were in Avengers, but didn't really follow a canon with the movies. But it would be like if for some odd reason there was like MODOK or some character from that show was referenced in here or something. I don't know. It would just be like it's something that doesn't really happen in other forms of media. You know, like it's really hard to compare it to other forms of media because it's something that doesn't really happen. You know, where like movies are movies, everything else is supplemental. Sometimes it'll be canon and supplemental, which will be like, fuck yeah, but then they usually don't jump back into main canon. Now, would I say that anyone who was boycotting Star Wars but loved Clone Wars should see this movie for Maul and then see a Darth Maul movie or a movie that might have Maul in it in the CD Underground? Yes. So if that's why you're like, I don't know why you should boycott it because this has a character you like and it has Maul that people like. If you were going to say that to me, which I think you were kind of alluding to earlier, I'd agree with you there. Like, guys, boycott the mainline stuff, but this is kind of the stuff that you want. You know, like, if you boycott the episodes but keep up with something like Solo or Rogue One, then you're telling Disney this is what we want. But if you boycott episodes and Solo, then that means that Disney's going to go, well, I guess they don't want Solo.
Right.
Because what are they supposed to think? I guess they don't want to see Darth Maul in a movie.
Yeah.
Which to some people might sound dumb. They're like, especially the Darth Maul point, because to be fair, no one knew that Maul was going to be in it. But now that people know that Darth Maul is in it, if that intrigues some of you guys, even if you're boycotting, go see the movie and then boycott Episode 9. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't boycott the. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting a Solo that, in my opinion, was not watered down. You know, anyone who's seen, that's the funny thing too, by the way. Anyone who's actually seen the movie, not a lot of people apparently, but anyone who's seen the movie, I haven't really heard them shit on the actor that played Solo.
I mean, that seemed to be more something I heard in the very beginning, not as much now.
And I think it was understandable. Granted, some of it was, you know, drama and stuff like that because we didn't see the movie yet. But when seeing the trailer, you know, the trailer is supposed to kind of get you invested in the movie to see the movie, and it didn't get me invested in his character or his interpretation of Solo personally. Seeing the movie changed it, which, again, that never, funnily enough, that also never really happens. Usually it's the reverse. Oh, my God, that trailer was amazing. You see the movie and you're like, it was okay. I might have been misled, you know? But here, I was like, I was misled. The guy played a great Solo. That was odd. But yeah, so I think that when it comes to Maul, I'm not saying I have such a huge issue. I'm like, they should have never put Maul in. It's just the idea that if there's someone out there saying this was dumb because why is Maul not dead? Like, that's odd. Especially when you see a guy get, you know, like, he looked pretty dead in Episode 1, I'll admit. But again, you see the animated shows, you see what happened, you see why he's alive. So that's why you would probably get some of that in live action form if there was a Darth Maul movie or maybe Boba Fett and he worked with Maul or something. You would see Maul being like, yeah, you know, I was half dead, but now I'm not. And you'd be like, oh, okay. And the fans who were like, this is dumb, would be like, oh, okay. But you can't blame them when this doesn't happen all the time. You know, like, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, man, but I can't name another.
Like, say if it was like a Marvel TV show or something like that happened in Marvel, and I was because I didn't, like, my dad knew older Marvel comics. I never actually read the Marvel comics. I've just been introduced through the new movies that have been coming out. But if there was something that happened in a movie that was referencing to one of the TV shows, I wouldn't be like, well, who the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck is going on here? I'd be like, no, let me try and find out why this is a thing. I don't know.
Right, but you could have both reactions. Like, if you told me that in the theater, like, if the roles were reversed and you told me in the theater, like, what the fuck is this? You'd have to have me tell you, oh, I'll explain what's going on later. But thankfully, I knew that Maul was alive, so, like, I didn't do that to you. But if I did that to you, like, dude, what the fuck is this? What the fuck? You'd have to be like, oh, Matt, I'll explain it to you later. And then if I keep on going even afterwards, then it's like, all right, dude, like, you don't have to like it, but, like, dude, like, don't be a jackass about it. But
yeah,
But again, the thing is, okay, here's the thing, right? So here's a great example,
that's
actually.
Basically my point, I guess.
Right. Oh, okay. But you brought up a great example, though, actually. Thank you for bringing it up. Coulson died in Avengers. He actually lives in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I would completely understand if people never saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they were catching up with the movies and they go see Infinity War, and I haven't seen Infinity War, but let's say Coulson is in it. I'd understand why people would be like, what's going on here?
Right.
Especially if Coulson, I don't know, like I was running shit, was like running, which he technically is running his division of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., to be fair. So, like, yeah, I understand why people would be confused, though, because this is a character that died. Everyone, and by the way, another thing, too, I would like to mention, though, is Coulson died in, like, 2012. In the movie, like, it's been 6 years since then, sure, but it's a lot different than dying 19 years ago. And then having a show that wasn't that long ago, yes, but it also wasn't like the show was ever in theaters. Like, the one Clone Wars movie was, but it's like the show was ever in theaters or people ever talked about it that weren't our age going to, actually wanting to watch it on Cartoon Network or Disney or something like that. Like, I've never, I could have potentially, if I didn't have you there and didn't ask to be spoiled, I could have gone without knowing that Maul ever came back. Granted, I would have been like, oh my God, it's Maul! Where I was like that, but I just never thought he'd show up again in live action canon.
Right.
So when I heard that Maul was back, I was like, I think I'm being trolled. And then I saw him, and I was like, ah! But it's because it's funny because because I was always wondering who would. Another thing too, you knew Maul was going to be in it, but you didn't know who was going to be Maul. Oh, did you not know Maul was going to be in it?
I may have seen something saying he was there, but I'm not sure exactly.
Oh, so you were shocked.
Well, no, yeah, I guess
you were shocked
I was.
that you saw him in live action. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not
but
that Maul is alive, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the sense that he popped up here, and I'm like, oh shit, that makes sense. Well, no, I did know that he was going to pop up somewhere, but then once they introduced him as the crime lord, I'm like, oh yes, exactly. This makes a shit ton of sense. Of course he would be.
Yeah, for me, I was wondering, because when we had those quote-unquote pirates, because when we thought they were the bad guys, in my head I was like, I think I even told you in the theater, I was like, is that going to be Lando? Which sounds silly, but in my head I'm like, Lando could have been doing anything at this time. He didn't have to be super cool and super suave, or he could have been pretending to be a pirate. He could have been one of those pirates where we think he's some, savage, and he takes off the helmet and he's like, hey guys, I'm going to take all of that, so fuck you, and then walks away.
Right.
We didn't know much about Lando other than what we saw in the trailer, so he could have just been some. And also, they had capes. Some of them did, on the, the quote unquote pirates who actually turned out to be the rebels. They had capes, some of them. So I was like, is this a Lando? So I was curious, and then I also thought maybe is it Maul, because it would make sense that Maul was a jackass, leading a group of pirates steal shit.
Right.
But then it did not turn out to be Maul. It turned out to be the good guys, and I was like, oh, that's a big twist. Not that they're the good guys, because that kind of could make sense. No, we weren't the evil ones. You were. That's not a big twist, because again, they were stealing for the bad guys anyway. So that's actually not a twist in a sense. But the fact that they were not Lando or Maul.
Steal from the Empire, am I right?
Right, but the fact that they were they were not Lando or Maul, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So that's the whole thing, like I said much earlier, about me knowing some things, but the journey really did, they really did sell the journey for me, which is why I don't think this is a failure of a movie or even a D. Right. But I do think this movie lands in the C+B territory, just for certain things that I think, I don't know, I feel like I'm not a big fan of the fact that they kind of had that sequel, not sequel bait, but I can't think of a better word, but they kind of oh, we're going to build this up for the sequel. And I just don't care at this point. I love them and I want to see more of them, but I would rather see them cameo in other movies rather than having a Solo 2 and a Solo 3.
Right.
Solo 2, a Star Wars story. And yes, when they're done with episode 9 and they're done with because I really hope they don't do episode 10 after 9. I don't want that. I don't want them to have 6 movies in a row. You want to talk about Star Wars fatigue? It's going to happen. So hopefully after episode 9 they take a break before 10. Then I understand if they have more solo, Star Wars movies that are separate stories and even solo. Because the director was talking about potentially, or not the director, I think the actor for Solo was saying, hey, if we do more solo movies, I would prefer them being separate stories and not interwoven and connected with each other. But looking at what they did with his lady friend and introducing Maul, I assume if they're making a Solo 2, it's going to be connected somehow.
Right.
again, unless they do like a Maul and then they have them cameo and then do a separate Solo too, that'd be fine. I'd be cool with that. But yeah, I don't know if I want the next, like I said to you earlier in the podcast, I don't know if I want the next movie to be Solo 2. I'd rather than do something else in between. And also, I don't want this movie not performing as well as some of the other ones. I don't want that to determine all of the Solo movies, not Solo, general off-story, like, standalone is the word I'm looking for, standalone movies in the future. Because I would hate if this is the reason why we don't get, like, an Obi-Wan film or a Yoda film or a Vader, even though we got a fucking Vader trilogy, a Vader film, or something along those lines that's like a separate standalone.
Or Wedge Antilles. Looking at you, Disney. Give it to me.
We fucking better get a Wedge movie. God damn it.
I know you're saying that for me, but I appreciate it all the same.
2 people on the Wedge Antilles fan page. 2 people like it. Stuff.
Oh my God.
But no, I just think that, I don't know. Like, I feel like this was a good movie, but I think I'd give it a C+ to a B. I don't think I'd give it like a B+ to an A, because again, some of its flaws I think are pretty big. Like I think and again, they're not big enough to make it a failure. We're not going to give it an F here, but at the same time, I think that it was entertaining, and that is what matters. Yes, but at the same time, there's just little things here and there that kind of add up. Like another thing too, and this technically isn't the movie's. Well, it is the movie's fault, but it's just you want to like Han, and I think Han was a lovable goof. I think he was. But the second the droid that all of us are supposed to care about and love dies, and they upload her brain into the mainframe, so therefore, truly, this is Han's ship because his best mate, his co-pilot, he loved her, not in a way to date, but like loved her as like, as like a friend. And now that truly is like Lando's ship. But never mind, let's give it to Han. Fuck Lando. And I'm like, that makes me think Han's a dick.
I mean, that basically just seems to be their relationship, just dicking each other over. Until the point where we get to Empire, and it's just like, dude, this went a little bit far. I mean, I didn't have much choice in the matter, and it really wasn't like, this wasn't a, haha, I'm dicking you over, man. No, this guy has a gun to my head, and I really don't have a choice.
But I have to say, though, this was a good one, though, right?
But I gotta say, you didn't see it coming, did you? No, no, I did not. Well,
no, I mean, I get it.
Agree on that.
No, I get it. That's their relationship, dicking around. But like this one kind of felt far. It's like
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be like it would be switching it off, saying like if Chewbacca was somehow uploaded onto Han's ship and then Lando wins it, and it's like it's my ship now. It's like that's my friend you're taking.
Ha! You have to deal with the night ooze. What? Like every night you just get like Chewbacca having nightmares, and it's like ooh, ooh, really loud. Lando's like, take it back. I really don't want this. No, it's yours. You want it in Sabak. It's Sabak. Oh, I think it's Sabak now.
Oh, it's haunted, all right.
Oh, by the way, one thing that I died, I killed you, rather. I killed you in the theater. When Han is kissing his lady love, Kira, on the ship, and she was trying on Lando's capes.
Right.
So she was in his cape room, and so, he hits on her, and she... By the way, something, too, that I feel a little odd about is that, like, it's not like she was completely unreceptive, but, like, her actress really was trying to be like, look, Han, I'm really not into this. So it is kind of, a little weird for me that he's just like, I think you are into this. In, like, an empty room. Granted, she actually was. But still, it was kind of like, that part of the movie was a little weird for me where I'm just like, look, Han, I really think she's not interested. She was, but she really seems like you should leave her the fuck alone. Like, again, he looks too much like a man to be like a confused little boy about it, you know?
Right.
So again, that's kind of why it's like, I feel like, you know, people were talking about his looks earlier on. Like, you know, like, oh, he doesn't look like Han Solo, which I'm not actually, I shouldn't make fun of them. He doesn't. But, like, he doesn't look like, you know, young Harrison Ford. And they were showing some other actors who did look like a young Harrison Ford. And I have to say that some of those actors that I saw actually looked like they would be really young as well. Like, young enough to make some of these mistakes and to not have me be like, dude, you seem a little bit too old to be making these mistakes.
Right.
But anyway, but here's the thing that I made you laugh at, though. That wasn't the funny part. The funny part was, in theaters, as he goes in for the kiss and she's clearly into it and they're making out in the cape room, I whisper to you in Lando's voice, I'm like, none of the capes, please.
Yes.
Those are very expensive.
Oh my God, I had to try so hard not to just burst out laughing in the middle of the theater. Oh my God.
Because just like we were whispering to each other a little bit here and there, we tried to stop whispering as much when 4 people randomly sat in front of us, and I became infuriated because I had the perfect, like, they could have sat 1 row up or 1 row behind us. Why the fuck do they have to sit? And granted, it was a small theater room. Yes, it wasn't large, but it was large enough. And it's granted, school is out for some people, but it was a Friday at matinee, so it was like, what, 12:40 something?
Yeah, it was noon.
So it's like, come on, guys.
It was 1 o'clock,
it was 1 o'clock. It's an almost empty theater room. You couldn't have sat 1 row in front of us. Granted, it was so small that it's not like there was like an upper and a lower half like in some other theaters. So I admit, I'm not saying that they were like, you know, one of those dicks on the subway where they completely empty and someone sits right next to you. But at the same time, though, like, I think there was enough where they could have sat 1 more row up. But they sat right in front of us, and this tall motherfucker was right in my range of, like, you know, my shot. And I was not like I was taking a picture of it or anything, but, like, I'm just sitting there like, it's harder for me to see this now. And I wanted to look at you and say something, but again, they're right in front of us, so I didn't want to be a dick. But when someone else came, and I think they thought, oh, we're gonna move so that they can sit, but then they sat in 1 row in front anyway, which kind of made me laugh. But then when they moved over to the left, I was like, I can see, and I was like, oh no, I hope Tristan's okay. So did they block your vision, or were you still a bit? Because you're a bit taller than me.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you were good, because I felt bad. Okay, good. And I was better because the shorter guy, I shouldn't say short, it's me. Shorter guy moved to the left. So I was like, good, I can kind of see. But there was this really tall guy in front of me, and I was pissed because, again, I'm like, why? So we got a little bit quieter. So that's why, like, we barely were whispering at that point, and they're just making out, and you just have me just lean in. None of the capes, please.
None of the capes,
They're really expensive. They're really expensive. Could you do that somewhere else?
Oh, God, it's so
And then later on, too.
With that shit.
You what?
Oh, God.
What was that? You should have what?
No, you earned the ticket and snacks with that fucking joke, man.
Right, yeah, because, funniest thing ever, guys. So, like, I'm still sending you the money through PayPal, but the funniest thing ever is that I'm sitting in the car, and we're talking about how cheap it is, and I'm like, that's amazing! Put my hands on my pockets. I don't have my wallet. I'm like, can you cover me, Tristan? You're like, yes. I'm like, that's amazing. But no. And by the way, the snacks too were nuts. It was like a combo, 2 drinks, 2 snacks, so like 2 actual like candies, and they were big candies too. 2 candies, 2 jumbo popcorns, and 2 jumbo sodas, or just not small sodas, for $16. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I was like, Tristan, This is a good deal, Tristan. You don't want to live in Queens, Tristan. Like, now when I go to theaters around here, I'm like, am I going to get freaking, just mugged in the theater? It feels like I am, though. Like, what? What?
No, I
think you took that the wrong way, Tristan.
I think I did.
No, it's just the idea of like just oh, well, how much is one ticket? Yeah, it's about $13. How much are snacks? That's about $10. So I just paid $23 to see Solo.
Right, gotcha.
Versus paying like freaking $6 and then like another $8. That's not bad at all. But anyway, so yeah, I love that scene. Sure, we made it ourselves, but yeah, I loved. I also have to say we do have to give Woody Harrelson some credit. He really did sell his character. I'm not saying that I thought he wasn't going to turn or anything, but I did like. I liked his dynamic with his wife. I liked his dynamic with his team. I just think that when I mentioned the whole the movie went a little bit too fast in some regards, I know that they can't have the moment sit too much because they do have to go back to to the team and be like, hey guys, the big baddies, and be like, hey guys, we did not do what you needed us to do. You're going to kill us all. So I know that they had to do that regardless. It's just I think, I don't know, again, it was such a big moment, I think, that really could have turned the character, not evil, but something could have been done with it, but they kind of just kept everything going, I guess. And again, that's why I, constantly have you and I praising television while kind of not shitting on movies, but in some cases shying away from, because there's just certain action movies where we kind of sit back and we're like, those are big emotional moments that, maybe on a TV show are kind of better suited and kind of fleshed out more. I don't know if you disagree with me there, but that was a big moment for both that character and even for Han, and then also feels odd because it feels like the two just met.
Right. I mean, when you're living by the seat of your pants with the Empire looking over your shoulder and looking to kill you at any given moment, life moves a little quick.
That's true.
That's how I
true.
Think about it.
Yeah. Although, question, it's not like so the Empire would have, I don't know, what would the Empire have done to Han Solo? Granted, I mean, he was technically in the military, so I guess, but even then, when he was in the military.
Back. No.
No, but I have a question for you, sir.
I don't know.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
No, hear me out, sir. He was already a military deserter, technically. So why was the idea that he was going to be in trouble with, everybody if he doesn't, if you try to run from these guys? It's like, wait a minute, these guys don't know my face. I'm going to tell them who you are and you're in the military database? Yeah, but the military is already going after me. So aren't I already an enemy of the Empire just by existing outside the military?
Sort of. I mean, the Empire... It depends. It takes specific things for the Empire to actually be like, no, guys, we need to put a bounty on this guy's head, seriously.
Okay, so you think they didn't like him, but they weren't going to be like bounty on your head if you're a military deserter.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because no one gives a shit. Now, if you stole fuel or resources or blew up a research facility, then they'd be like, yeah, you're, public enemy number one. Please be on the lookout for this jackass. Right.
Also, why was Lando happy and kind of about keeping the Millennium Falcon? Wouldn't the Empire be like, that's the ship? I know it's his baby, but shouldn't he have ditched it? That's the ship that they saw that went away from the prison where they started a riot.
It's funny.
Well, a rebellion.
Because it's there's a similar situation with Rebels where it's basically if a lot of Imperials don't actually look at the ship itself, or at least from my understanding, they don't actually take a really hard look at the ship and cross-pair it with, other sightings unless it's something really big. They usually just scan for you have a code to go here and do this. As long as that checks out, they really don't give a shit.
Okay, but you don't think that rebellion was big enough to have something to not like Lando?
That's like I said. At that point, like the Pike Syndicate still had control of Kessel at that point. It wasn't an Imperial prison camp quite yet.
Right.
At least it didn't seem like it anyway. They had pirates running the place. I really don't think the Empire had control of it yet.
My bad. You're right. Okay, so they were being chased, but it's not like. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Just trying to fill
Later
in some
on,
things.
yeah,
because,
totally.
Yeah.
There probably would have been something put out like, be on the lookout for this freighter.
Right.
But there is also a secondary layer of it, like as far as I know, they call it transponder codes. So it's like if an incoming ship scans you, it'll come up with those. It's kind of like a license plate. So like, you can switch the license plate on your ship, and it'll be, oh, this is a different ship, unless they actually look up and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Also, as we're wrapping this up, and believe me, I'm trying to be someone who has suspension of disbelief because, I know what we're watching. Like, obviously we're watching Star Wars. I'm not going to sit here and be like, excuse me, but how many parsecs? But I would like to say, though, isn't it pretty convenient that Han finds Kira at that exact spot? Granted, it's what Kira mentioned would have probably happened if she stayed, right? But still, does it make the universe smaller to you? How we've talked about Episode 1 sometimes makes the universe smaller. Do you think it makes the universe smaller or no? Or makes the galaxy smaller?
That she ran
into
them
they
again?
ran into each other there instead of on, the home planet or anywhere else. Like that it's just like, because what if Han was never picked up by them? What if they were like, fuck this kid, and he found another way off? Then he would never have met with them. Like he never would have been at that location to see her again.
I mean, as far as the movie talked about it, like Crimson Dawn, I believe that was the crime syndicate she was working under.
Yes.
They were decently big, so I feel like Han would have had a run-in with her some point. Maybe not right away, as if he had, since he had joined up with them. But I feel like he definitely would have run into her, or at least heard of her in passing.
Right. And I also want to mention, if they have a fucking time card that says 5 years, I'm like, wow, that's a long time for them not to meet each other. Again, another thing too. Like, you put that on there, like, it's been 5 years since he's been in the military, or, it's been a year since he's been in the military, but he's been working with them for, 1 year or something on this job. Like, if you give it some time. But, like, the fact that it's just like, how long has it been? Because it feels like it's not been super long, like months, and then all of a sudden it's just like, wow, literally the first time I get involved with some crime syndicate shit, you're here.
Right.
And she's like, I am Han, and things have changed drastically. Have they really? Because, again, it feels like it's not been that long. I mean, my beard, I don't even have a beard. I'm just a bit more rugged in terms of, my shadow has increased, Like,
Right.
Has it really been a while? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, that's the reason why I'm harping on this time card thing that I'm sure a lot of you are like, shut up, Matt. I'm harping on it because it's just like, I love suspension of disbelief, but I feel like it does make the universe just a wee bit smaller, the fact that they were able to meet so quickly, but maybe it wasn't so quickly. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Find out on the next episode of. But yeah, so that's why I give the movie the grade that I give it, C+ to a B. What grade do you give it, Tristan Walter? I know we don't do this for like every movie, but I feel like Star Wars movies, as new movies coming out, I feel like we can grade them.
Yeah. No, I definitely give it a B+.
Okay. And I think that's fair. I'm not going to shit on you for the B+. Like, I get it. I think that's fair. Yeah, I don't hate this movie. I think and it's funny because we made those jokes earlier on. I'm sure some people tuned out. I just like to make those jokes because if someone's going to come up to me and be like, Matt, I didn't like this movie because I don't want them retreading on something that, many of us know about, even if we didn't read Legends or anything like that, you can kind of guess because they've mentioned everything in passing in, all of the different episodes. So we didn't really need this, right? If someone says, hey, I saw the movie and I didn't like it for X, Y, and Z, like, I'm okay with that. Heck, if you didn't like 7 and 8, you don't have to like 7 and 8. Like, I'm not sitting here saying you better like 7 or 8. It's just like Tristan said, when you start going online and you start attacking the celebrities themselves as if they had, the ability to write the movie themselves, as if they wrote themselves as the hero, right? As if they wrote all of what you consider their flaws, like, we start to have problems, Or once you sit there and say, not you personally, Tristan, when, whoever is sitting there saying, oh, these stupid SJWs are ruining the movie. And it's just like, again, like to you and I, we just kind of chuckle because we're like, yeah, because, who is Darth Vader based on, right? It's like, no social justice warriors there, just some bad guys fighting some good guys. No one was based off of a Nazi. It's just like there was no social justice issue there. Right. It just becomes silly.
Yeah.
So, because I think if some people are like, well, why are they making these jokes? It's because it's just funny to you and I, like in a roundabout way. I think maybe it's funnier to me than you because you're like, I just want it to stop. I love my Star Wars, right? But for me, I just find it funny because, again, like, it's like when people say, like, I don't really understand this diversity in Star Trek, and it's just like, it's like Han. Well, not Han. It's like Lando when Lando was like, oh, that's adorable. That's kind of what it is,
Right.
Like, I'm sorry that you don't like diversity in your Star Trek. I would suggest not watching all
Star
of
Trek.
It.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the same thing, and by the way, someone can easily say to me, Matt, I think that the quote-unquote politics, if you will, the social justice, I think it's a bit more in your face than it used to be. All right, I think we can have that discussion. Like having literally, and it's funny because you literally have the droid, you have her screaming it. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of understand if you're going to say it's a bit more in your face than it used to be. I think we can have that discussion. But that's a lot different than saying these fucking feminist SJWs ruining Star Wars. Fucking women suck. And you're like, oh, so then you hate women. Well, what gave you that idea, sir? I don't know.
Yeah. At that point in time, I'm just going to point at you. Yeah. I'm going to look at you dead in the face and go, Princess Leia Organa, motherfucker.
Yeah, but Princess Leia's fine for some reason.
Right, and then we have that dodge. It's like, no, I like Leia. It's like, then what the fuck? It's because this one's character is shit. It's like...
No, look, like, listen, man. I love me some Han Solo, right? But we didn't even really get to see, and granted, that's more of the movie, I guess, not wanting to deal with him as a child, probably not wanting to have 3 different characters. They want to just have this one actor grow on us as Han Solo in the film. But we don't even see him as a kid. So Han Solo does a lot of cool shit for being on his first job. Granted, yes, you said to me, and it's understandable, oh, well, he grew up on the mean streets, so of course he's, better than your average, such and such. But it's just hilarious to me that, like, when seeing Han Solo in Episode 4, we don't know anything about him other than he claims to be a cool motherfucking badass. We see him be a cool motherfucking badass. We're like, you know what, that seems legit. I think it makes a lot of sense. He just came out and said, I can do this. And what was it?
No, like, speaking of which, we finally got to see the Kessel Run, which was
which is
fucking beautiful.
Yes. But in terms of Episode 4, when we didn't have Solo, right, we just had him come out being like, I'm a badass, And even though we do have Luke be like, I don't know about this guy. But still, Han Solo says, I'm a badass. That's it. And then what happens? He's a badass. That's it. right? Like, he's a badass, he's amazing, and he gets the girl. Fuck yeah, Han. We see Rey for 5 minutes. Let me write a dissertation on why she is a Mary Sue and why she is perfect and why it's terrible. And it's just like, okay, buddy. But yeah, and it's funny because I wanted to, like, I didn't mention a lot of this stuff with episode 8 because even though we talked about it a little bit late, I still didn't know the full scope of all of this. So when Solo starts coming out and I'm hearing all this stuff and I'm just like, I'm gonna say some shit. Oh, Tristan, and I tried to explain some stuff to you, and you were like, wait, that's happening? And I'm like, I know. And you're like, well, I'm gonna say some shit too. And so we're both just, but yeah. So I love certain things about this movie. I just think that, again, it brings it down some other glaring things. And again, even I hate to say it, but just the premise of the movie itself. You know, I think that if you told me this was going to be a new TV show on ABC, I would have been like, let's fucking do it, and I would have been really into it.
Right.
Even more so than I was for this movie. Because, again, I just want to see these characters grow instead of it being confined. Although the movie was kind of long, actually. It was like almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2 and 5, 2 and 15.
Yeah, I'll admit, it was a long movie, to be fair. I was actually kind of sitting in the theater like, has it been longer than 1:20? Because I'm always expecting movies to be shorter now. So I was like, oh, wow, it's actually, I give it credit for being, a little bit longer. One thing I want to say, though, before we wrap all this up, the Lando being Pan thing, I want people to understand why that's dumb. Because people are going to be like, oh, how dare he? And others are going to be like, oh, he's about to side with us. No, understand. It's dumb because of the fact that while the director said it, like, oh, I can see him being that way, it comes off, and I've seen a YouTuber talk about this. I think it was Council of Geeks, and it was a very interesting take, and I wanted to bring it up because it actually made me see something in a brand new light that I never really thought about before. Because I always thought when a creator says, "Oh, I can see this character being gay or being pansexual or being even trans or something along those lines," when a director says that, to me, I take it as, "Oh, that could be considered canon." But the way we should look at it is, if it's not canon in the actual canon, movie, TV show, or something like that, then it really shouldn't be considered canon. And you could argue it's some type of baiting that's trying to be like a company that says, hey, we're doing this for Pride Month. And it's like, really? Because you discriminate against your LGBTQ plus employees? Yeah, but we have a Pride logo, so aren't we good? No, you're not. You see what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's the idea that you have Lando in the
not
movie.
Not that they were doing that here. But
well, it's not that they were discriminating. They weren't discrimination.
Right.
It wasn't discriminating.
Right.
No. What I'm trying to get at, though, is the
clear.
fact that, well, obvious it's not. But it's the idea that, although you could argue, funnily, not the discrimination, but you could argue that it's interesting that people who call Kathleen Kennedy this SJW, that she's yet to hire a female or person of color director or writer. Isn't that funny? That doesn't fit the narrative, though, does it, Tristan? The narrative of, oh, she's just some SJW that's pushing her politics. It's like, really? Because everyone she's been hired in positions of power have been white men. But I guess if the white men disagree with you, then it's like, oh, they're race traitors. They're gender traitors. They hate men, even though they are men.
Oh,
it's like,
gosh.
okay. That's been said online. But anyway.
Dogs! What did I say?
You know what's really funny? I've been doing thumbs up when I'm like, cool. But no one's been seeing me do the thumbs up, so I want people to know that I've been doing sarcastic thumbs up. But anyway, so yeah, but I'm just trying to get at the idea here is that, yes, of course, not discrimination, what they were doing with Lando or anyone else really, but it's just the idea, or LGBTQ plus characters, but it's just the idea that if the director says it, to me, I take it as, okay, that's nice, but Lando, I didn't take it as him flirting with Han. Now, when I heard the pansexual thing and then the joke from his co-pilot, maybe you can take it that way. But again, Lando would never he didn't talk about having a boyfriend, or he didn't kiss Han, or he wasn't like, hey, how about you? If that's how he flirts, then that's odd because he flirts very differently with women. Granted, I know people that flirt differently with men and women. I do. Right, I know people that go both ways, and they flirt differently with men and women. Sure, Pan is not both ways. Pan isn't in general I'm not going to explain Pan right now, but the idea is Pan is not bisexual. But still, I know some people who are bisexual, and they flirt differently with men and women. I do know that, but still, it was very odd because he was a certain way with women that I think people would interpret, he's flirting with Kira. Versus how he is with Han, where it just comes off as like a male bravado dominance rival situation.
Right.
It felt like it was more of his co-pilot being like, "Ugh, stop flirting," as in get a room, you two.
Right.
Which is said about male characters all the time, or even male-female characters that kind of butt heads. It's kind of like, "Oh, get a room." Right? It's never really meant to signify I don't think again, I told you earlier in the podcast, I talked to the people who were both Ace and Pan, and when I told them, "Hey, did you know the director said this or one of the writers said this?" they were like, "Wait, really? He is? I didn't even notice."
Yeah.
And those are people that ship that stuff and who look for that stuff.
Right.
That's the thing. When you're telling people who ship this sort of thing, that we're like, wait, we're sitting there wait, was that subtext? I didn't even notice.
Right.
That's kind of a thing where when you do that, you're pissing off
the target
the people.
audience of that is not picking up on it, then there's a problem.
Yeah. And so if you have people who are against this stuff in Star Wars, I'm not saying you should, try not to piss them off because I don't care. But if if you piss off people who are against this stuff in Star Wars, then you're better. You can't, because then because you're not pandering, quote unquote, or you're not actually satisfying those who want diversity in Star Wars because it's not in the movie itself. So really, you're lose. You're losing in both situations. Right? Because the people who are like, ugh, Lando's Pan, it's like, he didn't kiss Han in the movie. He didn't, make out aggressively with Han in the movie. Or any male character. Didn't even look at Woody Harrelson's character, and he's like, so, I heard you're single now? Nothing. Nothing like that, right? And then you didn't, so it's so again, you don't, and, so I've already said my point. And I think you understand where I'm coming from, Tristan. It's just it's a lose-lose situation either way. If you're going to say it, do it, or don't say it at all.
Right.
Not don't say it at all to appease those who were against it. But if you're going to get both sides mad anyway, why even go there unless you're going to go there?
Right.
That's the idea. But yeah, and I don't think there's anything else I can say about the movie other than everything I've said already. I think we've gone on for a while. Is there anything else you want to say, Tristan, before we kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, I really loved that there were a lot of subtle just references throughout the entire movie. For me, that was something that's really fun. I think there was even one or two that I understood was a reference, but I didn't even know where it was from. But the one that really killed me, there was one that really killed me that I can think of right now, so I'll use it as the example. Or there are two of them, but the big bad guy who was the figurehead leader of Crimson Dawn. He's rich, he's powerful, so he has a plate of hors d'oeuvres. And he goes over and he says, "Colo claw creature," pointing to, a slam fish. And I lose it, and you're just like, the fucky, what? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I was like, that's a motherfucking episode 1 reference. I mean, Darth Maul aside.
That should have tipped us off with Darth Maul then, I guess.
Oh my god. But just the idea, Colo Claw Creature was one of the monsters that you see in the sub scene when they're leaving Otoh Gunga and going to Naboo, or Theed, when they're going to Theed, piloting through the planet's core. That was one of the fish monsters that attacks their submarine. And I fucking
That's
died.
funny. What made me laugh is when you had the guy who had like 8 arms or 6 arms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first off, his death scene really made me sad. But
Yeah.
when
Don't
he
die alone.
was
It's no bueno.
yeah, Jesus Christ, that killed me. But
Yeah.
the thing that made me sad, not sad, the thing that made me like go like, oh my God, I don't know if you caught it, when he said, I kind of want to open up a cantina somewhere, you know, somewhere a little hot but not
Yeah.
too much. I was like, you motherfucker.
Right. No,
I mean, granted,
I heard
he didn't
you
live to
laughing at
open it
that.
up.
Right.
Yeah,
Why did
Well,
that
'cause
make
he's
you laugh so hard?
because he's talking about the cantina on Tatooine.
I mean, Tatooine's pretty fucking hot.
That's what he's talking about a place that's kind of hot, but like this is like, dude, he's talking about a canteen. What other cantina have we seen in any of the episodes?
I mean,
Like
episode
actual
2,
movies.
there was a bar on Coruscant that they went into.
Is Coruscant not too hot, or how would you describe Coruscant?
Coruscant.
Maybe talking about Coruscant then.
Maybe.
I'm talking about a guy that's talking about opening up a cantina somewhere. Makes me laugh
Yeah.
because it's one of those references that's like it's really not deep at all. It's a very surface level. But it's one of
Right.
those that's just too silly for me not to laugh at. Like, if I live through this, I'm going to open up a cantina somewhere. And I was like, if
Right,
this motherfucker
just
lives
the
through
idea of opening a cantina somewhere. Yeah.
this. And then he didn't live, and I was kind of sad. Because I was kind of like, if he opens up the cantina in episode 4, I'm okay with that kind of odd world building. Also, was he related in some way, maybe like a distant cousin, and I'm being serious here, to the race of the woman who was in episode 7? The one who took Rey to the lightsaber? She's like the big gadget
What?
woman who wasn't in episode 8 because she was in a
No.
war?
They're completely different species.
Okay, because they
Just
looked
by-
a bit similar, CGI-wise. Just the hands were different.
Yeah, CG, sure, but like
No, the
outward
arms were
appearance,
completely different.
Like, of character. Yeah, no,
well, that's
they're
why
completely
Well,
different.
but here's what I asked. CG-wise, and also they were short, so I was like, that's why I said distant cousin because of the hands thing. I'm like, not the exact
Right.
same, like,
No.
tribe or something like that. I'm just talking about like how far related. Because do you remember Doctor Who, the Raxacorian? Do you
Yeah.
remember they showed two different? Yeah, they were very similar in appearance, but a bit different, and they spanned like two different, completely different like time periods. I don't even know if they were both with the 10th Doctor. I don't know if like one was 10, one was 11 or something.
Right.
I don't know if they were both with 10, but I know like they had two different people from the same species. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's a callback. So I was like, is this like a weird call thing or anyway?
Right.
Yeah. Do we know who he was, like who he hailed from, like who his people were? Or do you know rather?
I am not sure.
Okay. Either way, I loved his character. He seemed fun. I was really sad to see him die. And again,
Yeah.
I guess, some would say, oh, that's something, I don't know, some would say, oh, well, he died and other people died on that, so, like, they aren't heroes that died. And it's like, again, we just met them. Like, we knew we knew Lando's co-pilot more than we knew them. So that was really odd that they died that soon. I was like, oh, dude, like, I kind of want to know you guys more.
Right.
But anyway, so I think that's all we have to say about this. If you didn't like this podcast, please comment below. Please remember to like and subscribe. We cannot wait to hear your comments. If you liked the podcast, please comment below and remember to like and subscribe. If you're listening to this through our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel, you could be also listening to this through our Blog Talk Radio account, which is blogtalkradio.com/thoseguysradio. Maybe you're even watching some of our Let's Plays that we've done, like our Star Wars Battlefront Let's Plays. Maybe you're watching those over at our Those Guys Play YouTube channel. Hopefully you are. If not, then you should totally check those out. We fight each other, not just in game, in real life. Things get intense when we play Star Wars Battlefront. But yeah, so either way, I want to just thank you all so much for listening in. And again, if you don't like our opinion, you think, why are you shitting on me? I'm probably not shitting on you. Like, if you're wondering, why are you putting me down? I just said that I didn't like the movie because it had pacing issues. I'm not talking to you. I would love for you to talk to us and tell us what you think about the movie, be it this one or even 7 and 8, really, even though we have those podcasts up as well, so you can just kind of comment on those. But no, I would love to hear what you guys think. Just understand that, like, if you feel offended by what we said, there's a good chance we might not have been talking about you directly. Like, you know, like, we have no problem with people dissenting and disagreeing with some of the movies. I just think that this one kind of was in tune. I mean, speaking of all those references you mentioned, I think this one is one that was really open to people who have been fans for, 20, 30 years now. This was for a newer Star Wars fan, yes, but some of those references were definitely for the hardcore crowd that some of them said, hey, I'm boycotting the movie. So you kind of missed those. Yeah, hi.
Oh, yeah,
You're waving. But you're not the one that boycotted, but,
right,
some of those that boycotted the movie. Yeah. Anyway, but either way, thank you all so much for listening in, regardless. Whether or not you boycotted the movie, you've been spoiled. I would like to let you know. But either way, maybe this makes you want to go see the movie. Not our attitude, but maybe the general plot points that we brought up makes you go, I want to see this. And hopefully you do, because it was definitely a fun experience. And I don't know if I'd recommend it, 3D prices or anything like that, but definitely if you can go to your local theater, get it matinee, I would definitely suggest going to see it. Or if you're waiting for it to come out on DVD, I think you could probably add it to your collection. I don't think it'd be, too much to kind of just be like, spend like $10, $15 on the DVD, on the Blu-ray. They're getting so inexpensive now. But, yeah, anyway, thank you all so much. Love you guys. Check out some of our links below. We'll link to our Patreon and to our merchandise, our eBay page, and all that stuff. And just tune in next time for something completely different. Because today's Star Wars Wednesday. We're not doing Friday Night Movies or Anna Saturday this week, but they will come back up next week as basically we try to kind of switch off. So especially because we're doing Keikaku Corner on our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel. So, like a daily, we do, news on, we talk about like different anime news, manga news, tokusatsu news, all that stuff. So usually we have those clips posted once a day on our Those Guys on the Radio channel. So that's kind of why we switch off with Star Wars Wednesdays, Friday Night Movies, and Saturdays, and even sometimes we have Monday Night Movies in the off chance that we end up getting someone like Anthony Toto on the show, who we're like, we do a movie. And he's like, what's going on? That's his general disposition. What is this? Anyway, so, yeah, love you all so much. Take care. Hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time. So, good night, everybody.
See you, kid. Punch it, Chewie.
Darn it, I thought you were going to do the May the Force be with you thing.
I mean, may the Force be with you, obviously, but I thought I'd
also
go a little
with you.
more solo for this one.
Well, that's fair, too, Tristan.